What is up, Moody?
Mm, Nothing much. Visiting the in-laws, you know how that goes. Plenty of fun here on this side.
That's what's up. That's what's up. How the holidays? Well, I know off the pod, we know the holidays have been good. Um, got a lot of drinking in last night for you, so you little hungover today. But
Yeah, and I'm
hey,
sweating
that's what
slightly,
happens
but
during
it's
the
okay.
holidays. That's what happens during the
Yeah,
holidays.
yeah. Getting in
Last
drinking
episode.
games with your father-in-law. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, no, no. Last episode of the year. Episode 25. And, it's kind of fitting because next week will be, the brand new year. But that officially marks us at about the halfway
Hmm.
of our, 6-month anniversary of the Wrestling Rhea podcast. So a
Yeah, as
little
far
bit
as
of a,
episodes work, that's halfway for sure. 26
yeah, a
episodes,
little,
that's a milestone.
yeah, a little pre pre celebration. You can call it the New Year's Eve if you wanted to. I mean, I heard this from like Shoes on the Ring of Wrestling. He was talking about how most podcasts don't last more than like 3 episodes because the people that are making it tend to fall off. So even if you just get
Hmm.
past 3, it's like, you got a show at that point if you're
Yeah.
consistent with it on a weekly basis. So hey, it's actually pretty impressive. It doesn't feel like 26 episodes or 25 episodes, but we started this officially end of July.
Yeah, so it's somewhere in
We've
the
been
somewhere. Yeah.
practice Yeah, we were practicing for about 2-3 months, getting our branding and our stuff together. So it feels good to be at a spot where we can just kind of hit the ground running on things. Even if we might be a little behind on the week, we can pick it up. But nonetheless, let's get into these Sunday Percies, and I'm gonna start with my Sunday Percy because I want to end the show with my champion of the week because I think it's
Okay.
fitting. So my Percy for this week is, being that we're ending the new year. I want to give a 2024 Habasha Hayes Hip Hop Awards, and I'm gonna put a disclaimer on this that all of these awards do not include Kendrick Lamar because it'd be just too easy to just list them on a thing. Like it's pretty obvious that like from a rap year perspective, Kendrick did his thing, whether it be the beef, the songs, the album, all that. So all of this is non-Kendrick. You can assume that if Kendrick was on this list, that the places that he would be applicable would be probably Kendrick in this sense. So here are my 2024 awards for hip hop. I'm gonna start off with men's rapper of the year. Gotta go with my boy Denzel Curry. The year that Denzel Curry had this year, off the charts. And Denzel's been killing it for a good minute. I've been listening to this dude since Nostalgia 64. But one thing I love with my artist, any artist across any genre, is growth that you see from them, from like when they start off to where they're at right now. You see it with Kendrick, you see it with Denzel. One of my persons that I always said this, that was a personification of this, was Mac Miller, R.I.P. Mac. To hear that kid on Blue Slide Park all the way up until like his last few albums, you're just like, man, like the growth not only as a person but sonically out the charts. And Denzel had himself a year with the Mischievous album. I forget what it's called. He dropped it twice. They're essentially the same album, but a couple of songs are on part one, which is weird because I remember you mentioned part two had came out first, and then they had dropped part
Yeah.
one. I'm like, all right. I looked at the track list. I'm like, they're the same. What's up? Like part one has like 2 or 3 songs that are not on part two. So either way, Denzel Curry, and then his features that he was on this year, insane. Even the joint that he did the remix with of off the Waka joint.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about. He did with Lyrical Lemonade. Still, he did the you. We listened to this. We talked about this. Jesus.
Mm. Hey, you sharper than I am. I mean, come on now. I'm just
Like,
saying with the Denzel stuff. Yeah, I wish I would remember right now because you say
it
Walker, the
was,
first thing that comes to my head is Hard in the Paint.
and it was the
Or
Heart in the
No
Paint.
Hands.
He did the Heart in the Paint remix.
Okay.
You remember? Oh, okay, it was on the train.
I remember.
Anyways,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
he bodied it. That's just disappointing that we have these conversations and it's just, again, in the ear went out the other, but it is what it is. Women's rapper of the year. This is it could be
Ooh.
in one eye, it could be challenged. It could be like, oh wow, what? But this was pretty easy for me. It's Rhapsody. And Rhapsody can
Mhm.
honestly get it every year. But as we'll see later in this list, Rhapsody is just immaculate as a rapper. She's a spitter. And what's impressive about Rhapsody is that, exterior wise, you could be like, oh, like, she's definitely just like an old school rapper, rappity rap, all that stuff. But when you listen to her music, she has so much variance in how she's able to rap and not in just like style, but also in substance. Sometimes it could just be
Yeah.
your old school hip hop, rappity rap. I'm just rapping bars on you like she does when she goes on any of these radio shows and freestyles. She had a dope one on Sway, I believe, earlier this year. But again, then people forget it's like, yo, she is a woman as well, and she could be sexy, she could be vulnerable. She can talk about relationships and stuff of that nature as well. And so, Rhapsody, so the younger generation are like, oh, she's new, blah blah blah. And I'm like, if you really know Rhapsody been in this joint since like 2007, 2008. Like, she's been around. So, props to Rhapsody. Women's rapper of the year. Honestly, it could just be her title every year. But we'll get into that. I think there was some stiff competition, but I didn't want to be overzealous. And by speaking of stiff competition, breakout rappers. The competition here is Doechii. Because Doechii, again, I don't like calling this the best new because new is all relative. Like, Doechii's been signed to TDE for at least 3 years.
Yeah, it's
So
just about like, breaking into the mainstream or like finally putting a name to a project. And she did that this year for sure.
exactly. And so Doechii, I mean, honestly, it could be up there, but I don't want to just be overzealous on the first full length project, if you want to say, that she put out. But it is an amazing album front to back. Alligator Bites Never Heal. She's been killing it with her promotions and her things of that nature, going on Tiny Desk and Jimmy Fallon and all these things, and putting on impressive performances and whatnot. She just announced her show. I think it's a digital show. But Denial is a River, and it has Earl Sweatshirt playing. They call him Brad Pitt, but it's Earl Sweatshirt. Has a bunch of people, Sir, Schoolboy, a lot of people in it. That's going to be coming out, I think, next week. So Doechii on the women's side, breakout rapper of the year. I think that's an obvious pick. The other pick on the men's side of the bracket, this guy came up on me just fairly recently, within the last couple months. He did Tiny Desk on NPR a few months ago, and I actually saw just a small portion of the clip on Twitter, and I was like, I need to go watch this whole joint. My guy, La Russell. I don't know if you heard of him. I think I sent it to you one time when you were going on your
I've heard
trip.
he's come across I've on Spotify for sure. Like, I know that I've listened to his music. I couldn't name a song, but I know that I've listened to him.
La Russell is fire, bro. I definitely highly recommend checking out La Russell. Go check out the NPR Tiny Desk. There's one part where he smashes two of his songs together. It's called 10s, 50s, 100s, and I forget the other joint, but he mixes those two songs together, so you can't really find that song specifically out and about. That's just like an NPR kind of like mix mash thing that he did, but go listen to his shit. It is fun. He is hype. Like, he be hitting his high notes, like, as not a singing, but as far as like, when he gets hyped in his rapping, like, you can hear the cracking in his voice, and he's just having a good time. It's fun. I think he's from Venice. But it definitely has like the LA Bay Area type of feel. Like, La Russell, man, that dude is fire. That dude is fire. He has a little video with Marshawn Lynch, because you remember back in when Marshawn was in Cal, and he was in the little car just whipping around.
Yeah.
He has the same little video with Marshawn sitting in the car with him, just whipping around the exact Cal State, the Cal field like that. So definitely check out La Russell. I think next year is going to be it's definitely going to be a stock racer for him. If it wasn't this year, next year he's going to be able to build on this year. So definitely check out some La Russell. Don't sleep on Paris, Texas. Man. Those dudes are
also
fire.
heard that.
Fire. Oh man, like they take me back to like Cuddy days where you have the mix of the rock and rap, but it's just so fire. And like they have a little bit of JPEG because some of the beats that they go on, you're just like, this is very weird and intricate, and I don't know how you're going to rap on this. But then they rap on it, they rock on it, and then they flip the beat, and then whew, yo, Paris, Texas.
It's funny because I haven't dug into like artists like you have. I mean, you pay attention to them way more than I do, but I know I've listened to Paris, Texas, and I just think it's funny that I thought looking at him that it was just one person, like Paris, Texas. I thought that was a name originally, and then I was like, okay, that's clearly a place, but that could also be one person. But you're saying they, so I'm like, oh, okay, it's multiple people.
Yeah, it's two people. I wouldn't have known that either if, well, maybe because their voices kind of are similar, but yeah, I watched one of their videos and I was like, oh, there's like two people, but yeah, and they're not even from Paris, Texas. I think they're from California too. So I don't know how it works out, but Paris, Texas, every time I listen to them, I'm just like, this is a nice switch up. It's hip hop, but it's a nice switch up because it's a lot of rock. Sometimes they have kind of like Kenny Mason, where sometimes Kenny is just rapping, but then he'll go flip it into like a straight rock song. And it's just like, and then there's times where he'll blend the rap and the rock together. But Paris, Texas, by all means, like, don't sleep on them. I hope they get a bigger come up next year. If they haven't been on Tiny Desk, they need to be on Tiny Desk. They need to make I feel like next year they're going to be making those runs on those type of circuits. They're going to be on what's his face, Colbert and whatnot, performing.
Those are the mainstream now. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we don't care about Jimmy Kimmel and stuff like that. Like, you know, when press runs happen, you see them pop up on Hot Ones. They'll pop up on Tiny Desk. You know what I'm saying? We know like the big spots. So I could believe you can mark that down. You can pencil them in for that. I believe that.
Men's album of the year. This one was tough. Well, I'll start with the easy one because women's album of the year, I called her women's rapper of the year. Women's album of the year goes to Rhapsody. Please Don't Cry. Amazing album. I think it's probably her best album that she's put out, and that's saying a lot because she puts out a lot of great albums. But man, a total package of songs. Again, everything that I said earlier about Rhapsody, as far as just the versatility that she has to be just like a rapper's rapper, but then also just be like, you know, like, don't forget, I'm a woman, you know, I can rap about women stuff. I could be sexy. I could be vulnerable. I can do all that stuff, but then I can still rap your ass off like I'm one of the best of all time. So Please Don't Cry. Rhapsody is an amazing feat. Again, Doechie's Alligators Bites Never Heal was close, but again, a lot of it is just, you know, legacy that's pushing Rhapsody. And then again, Rhapsody, I feel like more than any year, has definitely gotten a lot more shine this year than any other year that she's had in her career. And that's saying a lot, again, because like you could look at Meg and all these other people that are definitely talented, but, you know, have surpassed her as far as like, you know, recognition. Rhapsody is still the best rapper in the game as far, and not, she's the best women's rapper, men's rapper, as far as just like, if you combine men and women, she's definitely top 10 in my opinion. As far as just like rap, there's not too many men that can out rap Rhapsody. Whether you talking about trying to make songs are a little different, but I'm telling you, if you talking about freestyling, battle rap, you're not messing with that chick from Philly. I believe she's from Philly. Let me double check that, but I believe
she's definitely got more press. I agree that she's got way more recognition this year, because I would say I've seen her at least in 4 or 5 different spots. I mean, you know, the Breakfast Club is always like a normal spot, but outside of just there, it's like, oh, okay, she's here on, you know, Apple Music interview, or over here, you know, I see her doing interviews all over the place. So it's like, okay, yeah, I think the recognition is there for sure. Just like she's not mainstream. Like if you, like you said, her being in the pocket of like being a rapper's rapper, that's like a niche area. You know what I'm saying? So.
And I have to correct myself. She is not from Philly. She is from Snow Hill, North Carolina.
There we go.
So I probably mixed her up with like Tierra Whack or something like that. But she's got a Philly flow. She got a Philly thing about her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But Rhapsody, I'm hoping that she's on that Paris, Texas tip where again, make these rounds and keep getting yourself out there because I mean it shouldn't have to take that long. But again, we as a hip hop community, as a culture, are finally starting to take women's rap serious and not just boxing men. We were able to give them a little bit more creative, artistic freedom. So hopefully, Rhapsody continues to be the forefront of this and then keeps getting her name out there. But going back to my men's album of the year, this was a tough decision, especially without not having Kendrick. I don't know where GNX would be. It'd definitely be up there. But I think with GNX, you kind of have to remove the context of the rap battle and the beef and just like kind of grade it on its own. So we're not doing that. Like I said, this list does not include, but other contenders for this was Vince Staples. I forget the name of the album. I think it was hold on.
I just call it Etouffee. But I know that's the name of the single. But I've listened to that album multiple times, and I'll tell you, Blue Lips better be in there too.
Because that was my album of the year. Blue Lips is my album of the year.
It's those three. I was like, honestly, GNX was for a Kendrick project was like weak for Kendrick, basically. I mean, that's the way that I felt about it. So for me, it was like it didn't touch the other two.
I wouldn't say it's. I can understand the statement for being weak for a Kendrick project. I think it's still up there with probably one of his best, just for the fact because of the diversity. And again, like Kendrick is a West Coast dude, and a lot of the things that we might complain about, something like I've had this complaint about Cole, where I'm like, sometimes I just want you to just go off and have fun and snap. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about trying to deliver messages and things of that nature. We know we can do that. We know that's in your bag. And sometimes we just want you to rap for the rap. And so when I think about GNX, man, Peekaboo, that's my joint. That is my joint.
That one, maybe it'll grow on me. I'm kind of annoyed still, like as I listen to it, but
Bing,
I'm like,
boom,
okay.
boom, boom, bop, bam.
That's fire. That's fire. That part is fire. I'm not gonna. That part is fire.
One of my favorite lines on that is AZ Chike. He was never got his ass whooped until he opened up that can. Damn, I was like, yo, that is a dope line. Hey now, it's fire. But we're not talking about that. We talking about Blue Lips. And Blue Lips, man, what return to form. And that's sounds mean because I love most Schoolboy Q projects. I love the last one, even Crash Out, which he even said personally that wasn't his favorite. Yeah. Like I still enjoy it. There's songs on there that I go back to. My favorite album from Schoolboy, and I think it's probably I put this as probably the second best album put out by TDE of all time is Blank Face. And you could choose whatever Kendrick you probably want to put at one, but Blank Face is probably the second best project that TDE's ever put out. Blue Lips is a return to form. This album, front to back, you start off with Rico Nasty. Shout out to Rico. She been doing her thing. Be More Zone. Doing her thing, killing it. Going through, let me bring up this track list. Like, man, he had the joint with of course I gotta type in. If I just type in Blue Lips, it's like, oh, you got a problem with you?
Yeah, like, oh, you might be having shortness of breath or whatever. Like it's like you're dead.
Thank God for me is Slide. Blue Slides. I say the hook on Blue Slides almost every day. Blue Slides, I've been sliding through your whole shit. Presidential rollie, I take big whips. Yearn 101. Lovebirds, but my boy Lance Skywalker, I'm still waiting for a project, a full-length project, because it's been way too long, Lance. Movie with AZ Chike. Cooties was all right. Ohio with Freddie Gibbs, fire. Foe with Absol, fire. Nunu, fire. Back in Love was cool. Lost Time, Germany 88. Like Schoolboy, my album of the year. Glad to see you back. Doing your thing. And then again, a lot of these things too is the growth, right? You hear Schoolboy back on Oxymoron and Habits and Contradictions to the guy now that he doesn't really smoke anymore. Like you see that stuff that he's smoking, that's not really weed. It's like a weed alternate. I think it's more I think it's more CBD than it is THC.
I was about to say, you're going to be smoking CBD. Then my mom smokes CBD.
But again, the growth as far as like where Schoolboy started as just a hype man, not even being a rapper thing, as kind of Kendrick explained in, Gloria, or not Gloria, but The Heart Part 6, to, again, now being this father that likes to golf and hang with his kids and soccer and all that stuff. And just, man, I'm too old for that stuff, man. That's for the young cats, whatever, man. Shout out to Schoolboy, still be able to drop hits. And I went a little extended, but that's my Hip Hop Awards for 2024 from your Habasha Hayes. Any thoughts?
Oh, congratulations on that riff. Freestyling that off real quick. But immediately, well, your rap album was right for sure, because like I said, that was the top 3 in my head for sure as far as like male albums.
Denzel was up there too.
I'm not gonna argue with Rhapsody. I didn't listen to the project, but yeah, like I've listened to her old stuff enough to know who she is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like her reputation precedes herself, because the only other one I would have up there would probably be Gloria, like Glorilla's album. That was really good. And that's kind of like, that's her debut.
That's one I'd actually need to go through and listen, because I like Glorilla, but I haven't listened to that album.
Yeah, Glorilla, that's pretty hard. That's a great entrance of an album. Yeah, those are my thoughts immediately.
Right.
Who would be mine? Honestly, I don't consume enough hip hop and pay attention to it to give an educated, like rapper of the year and stuff. Because like you said, factoring Kendrick out, that makes it very difficult when he, basically defined 2024.
And I'll say, this is a down year for me. Like, personally, this is a down. Like, I've been falling off to the levels of which you knew me as before to like where I'm at right now. I'm nowhere near the level. So this is just like stuff that I've been listening to that's just been on repeat for 2024, rather than like this is a deep critical thought process of like I'm not Fantano right now. You know what I'm saying? I used to be. I'm not Fantano anymore. So this is just kind of like things that have just been running on replays for my taste.
For sure. Yeah, I would say even for me, I would say, because I've deviated from hip hop a decent amount, where I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I told you this on pod or not, but I've been into like chill wave for like the last 2 months, like just those synthy high tones. Like I want to hear some like white man in his living room, like, just humming and shit. Like, I don't know why I'm on that right now, but I like that. It's like high frequency stuff. I feel like, I don't know, it feels good.
Where would you put the Andre? Where would you put the Andre album up?
I listened to the Andre album. See, I've been on that this year. So
I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah, I listened to the Flute album. It's flute-tastic, dog. I mean, I can't give you no review on no flute, because like you said, it's no lyrics, it's nothing. It's just music. So, but the music is good. So it's good to listen to. That's all I can tell you. It's a different vibe than obviously breaking down lyrics and stuff. But yeah. Oh, my Percy. Yeah, I remember this. I think we should just call this content corner. Like, just whenever we bring up anything we're watching and shit, it's easy enough. But I thought it was appropriate for the pod also, because there's a show on Max. I don't know if you've watched any episodes of it, but it's called Invincible Fight Girl. Brand new, season 1, animated. I really like it because it's clearly like American. It's an American studio that made this, but they're using all the tropes of anime in this show, even more so than like Avatar: The Last Airbender, like where somebody gets mad and then they'll shrink into a sprite and you see their like arm shake a lot or something, or somebody storms off and you see the dust trail. It's like way more like that. But anyway, the premise is this girl, the very first shot, she's at Rumble Rama 47, which is clearly WrestleMania. And there's this woman that makes her heroic return, this wrestler, and her name is like Queso Luchada, or like, which is like cheesy wrestler or something like that. And that's her inspiration. And she's like, I just want to be a wrestler when I grow up. And come to find out, this world, like the world that this show is in, wrestling is this world. That is the most important thing, like across all nations, everything. So everybody else in the world trains to be a wrestler and is trying to make it to Rumble Rama, unless you're born where she's born, which is called Accountant Isle. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Everybody born on this island, they are born to be accountants so they can do the taxes of the wrestlers. So that's just a hook right there. And then tax day comes and she's like, I can't take the pressure. I want to be a wrestler. And it's really giving me. You remember Mucha Lucha? It's basically giving me Mucha Lucha vibes, but with anime. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So entertaining enough. I've literally only watched 3 episodes, but it's pretty cute and it's episode. I mean, it's coming out episodically, so they didn't drop the whole thing. You know, it's like
Okay.
still weekly. But
Yeah, yeah. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. It sounds like, again, just from the loose story that you told me, I'm like, it sounds like the unofficial story of Roxanne Perez.
yeah, hockey. And we always rooting
uh,
for women of color. Speaking of Roxanne Perez and Invincible Fight Girl,
yeah.
both women of color. We root for them. Come on, let's go.
All right. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Especially that's what I'm talking about, man. That's something different. Like that was always my thing with like you guys always recommending anime. I'm like, stop giving me these teenage boys trying to save the world as fucking fake ass police officers. And I'm like, there's got to be something more than this. And so I'm like, even
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds interesting. Where it's like, oh yeah, it ties into my like love for wrestling. But I'm like, but that just sounds interesting in itself. It sounds
Mhm.
like a Pixar type of.
That's a good
movie.
elevator pitch. Yeah, exactly.
So I'll definitely check that out. Were they like 20 minutes?
Yeah, yeah. 20-minute, 30-minute episodes, exactly like you'd expect.
I'll definitely check that out. And I like Mac, so gotta put that to use. But
Yeah.
think that's it for the Percy's, unless you got some other stuff you want to add on to your content corner.
No, no,
All
I'm
right,
Gucci. That's it for me.
let's start the show.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
The crowd is the Habashahe Samson. Here with my tag team partner.
The French Fry Pro. It's Pro. And this is the Wrestling Re-Up Podcast.
A weekly stroll through the avenue of wrestling.
Follow us on our socials on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, streaming on YouTube and Twitch. The Wrestling Re-Up.
Episode 25. We did it. It's the last episode of 2024. And then we're not making any big move anywhere like next week with Raw or the week after with Raw. Well, yeah. We'll have 2 weeks before the next actual episode that will cover of the transition to Raw. So next week will be the last episode on network cable or on cable for Raw. And then we'll move over to the digital side and watch Raw on Netflix. But what's up, Moody? I know we just went through this whole 25-minute Percy's, but I mean, it was a light week in wrestling. It's a lot of pre-taped, things where it's like, hey, this is cool, but we know we got to give people breaks. It's the holiday season.
Honestly, my thought, like as you asked me about that, was, well, you did your whole like hip hop awards. I should just do my content awards because I did consume probably more stuff this year, like new stuff, than I ever have in like recent years. So I do have a lot of opinions on like, industry is already my show of the year. I'll just say that industry show of the year, watch it, finish it, all that good stuff, viewers.
Yeah, I still got to finish it. I'm still on season 1. Only 2 episodes left to finish, but got to catch up on that. And if you want, you could put that as your Percy for next week because it still be like the new year and be like, here's my 2024 TV show
review.
It can still apply if you want to have some more time to expound on things that you enjoyed next week. But let's get into this show. We got some stuff to talk about, and we got a little switch up when we reach Thursday.
No, really. We really don't got that much. We don't got stuff to talk about.
We got stuff to talk about. Like I said, there's the general wrestling shows. When we go into the stores are on break too. So the stores are going to be a little quick. They waiting to get a new supply of shipments in for 2025. So, we're just working with the overstock, if you want to call it. But hey, Thursdays, and we still got a pop-up this weekend. The last pop-up of the year. AEW's World End. So we got to go through our predictions, and I will guarantee you, I will lose this. I will lose this week. But let's get into the show. Let's get into Monday. And before we walk into the flagship store, we got some news about 10 minutes before Raw went on the air from Gold Dust, aka Dustin Rhodes himself, announcing that he has re-signed a multi-year contract with AEW. And so there's a long tweet here, very complimentary of a lot of different things. I'm not going to go through it. It's like 3 paragraphs, but all this to say, we had some few speculations a few weeks ago when we heard that Dustin's contract was up. And what are some of the thoughts that might happen with Dustin, especially with Cody being over on, the WWE, the storylines that are happening with Cody and kind of him being ostracized by not only Kevin, but it seems like the locker room, and to a certain degree, that, hey, what would it be like to have your brother back you up where all this familiar relationships kind of going on, whether it be the bloodline, Kevin and Sammy, and even Seth, if you want to call that, because of their close familiarity with each other since, Ring of Honor days and things of that nature. But to no avail, that is not going to happen anytime soon. So,
Wow.
what are your thoughts on Dustin resigning with AEW?
I think I didn't have a thought that he would, come to WWE realistically. I mean, we're fans and we're always going to fantasy book and we can be like, oh, yeah, that makes so much sense. But Dustin's probably enjoying his time as a coach. He's really obviously way less active than when he first came in. Honestly, when he debuted in AEW, we've watched him as Goldust forever, obviously in WWE. And him being that character, it's oh, you forget that this guy can really go. And then when All In happens, the first one before it's even all AEW, having that Cody versus Dustin match was the best thing I ever saw Dustin do. And I'm just holy shit, yeah, he can go. You know what I'm saying? He actually is the natural. So, he is currently, pretty sure he's still tag team or Ring of Honor tag team champions with Sammy Guevara. So he'll have to drop those. But yeah, he's living the coach's life. He's probably, just loving nurturing the new talent like his dad did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What all wrestlers want to do is just pass it on. So
yeah, it seems like it's an interesting place to be in, because I imagine if he came to WWE, he would just be a backstage producer and you really wouldn't see him much on TV. And so, yeah, that's cool. But I also kind of want to, I still got something to offer in the ring. It doesn't necessarily have to be a championship, but it is something as far as just, hey, kind of like Natalya in a way, where again, this is probably what is not happening. I don't know. Natalya is an interesting thing, but we all know Natalya is just a great pair of hands. She's almost kind of a producer in herself. She is producing some of these women matches with TJ Hart. So you'd almost be like Natalya, but would you want to do that in WWE? I'm not sure. And
yeah.
Willing is a lot easier on your body on AEW, and Tony's going to pay you dumb amounts of money. That I don't blame him. It would be cool to see Cody and Dustin within the context of them as brothers and having to unite against everybody else. But hey, it is what it is. They don't need to be tied to the hip all the time. So it's not a big deal. I just brought it up just to say that, hey, we could just end the speculation and just be like, okay, we're done. And there's no, I'm going to come to, no, shut up. We can't talk about that at least for 3 years. So
right.
Done with that. But let's move on to the flagship store. Raw. Another pre-taped, probably the second to last pre-tape. I imagine next week's was probably pre-taped as well, just to get everybody fully 100% for the first live episode that we've had in probably 2 months, it feels like.
Man, WWE, the wrestlers gotta love this time right now. You're oh, thank God. A whole 2 weeks or whatever it is, or 3 weeks.
There's a month, bro. They've been filming stuff.
Yeah.
They've been filming stuff pre some Survivor Series, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, but there is some small stuff. There's some small stuff that stood out. I'll start off with just my general one, and is Drew McIntyre and just his aura since he's kind of returned. I learned that because remember when he came back and surprised and attacked Sammy a couple weeks ago, I was like, I had no thought of Drew coming back because I thought he was legitimately taking a break for personal and health reasons and that nature. Some of that's apparently true. I think because of Bronson Reed getting hurt, they had to bring in somebody, and Drew's kind of doing what Becky did earlier, where, after Becky had lost at WrestleMania, she took a little bit of a break, but then she had to come back because I forget who got hurt, but somebody got hurt, and she had to come back for, a few months just to kind of bridge some gaps here, some time. So But Drew, where he's at and what he is doing and his motivations are very interesting to me because he's kind of like a soldier on his own and he's coming at everybody. And I kind of like it. I like his promo that he cut on Monday. We're talking about how he thought we were all family and how you spend more time in the WWE with people than you do with people than your family that you do at home. And now I realize that only one person called me while I was out after Hell in a Cell, and all of these people here are just fake and phony, and they're pretty much my enemies. And so it don't matter if it's Roman, it don't matter if it's Cody, it don't matter if it's Punk, it don't matter if it's Jay, Jimmy, Sammy, it don't matter. It don't matter if it's Kevin. It don't matter if it's Seth. He coming for everybody. And I'm just like, okay, Drew, good luck. But if anybody can do it, it's probably Drew McIntyre. And it just puts him in an interesting predicament to see what his road to WrestleMania will be and where he's at with this. So shout out to Drew. It's mid-rising right now because it's early. And again, this is kind of a spur of the moment storyline that they're kind of throwing him in there. But again, we'll get into it when we get to our awards segment. But Drew is probably had one of the best years, not just for his career, but I think of any wrestler this year. So shout out to Drew. I'm intrigued and I'm liking where this is going as a general plot point for the next few months.
Yeah, I like to think of it, like you said, with him being like a lone soldier or like being a one-man crusade. I like it because, I mean, he had somewhere to focus his energy this whole year with CM Punk. And even before that with like Seth going up against Seth, winning the championship and everything at WrestleMania. But now it's like, I think of it as the evolution of the hater, right? Because that's what he's just been. He's just been hater of the year. That's been Drew's character. But now instead of just hating one person, he's just hating everybody all at once. Because it's like even just last week on SmackDown when he's like, "This is as close as I could come to you without beating you with an inch of your life," and Jacob Fatu was standing right there. He's like, "I don't care." So I think he's just casting a wide net. It is pretty interesting to see like what his direction is going to be. So I agree with that sentiment.
Nice. My other mid that I had was, and this barely made a mid because I don't necessarily have the problem with the segment, but it was more so the New Day is I like I've been saying, the New Day has a lot of work to do to make people genuinely hate them, and actually turn them heel. They've have 10 years of goodwill with people that a couple of actions aren't just going to make people just turn on them wholesale. And so you need to do stuff to make them feel that they're irredeemable. Similar to Dominic Mysterio. You kind of have to keep pushing the envelope with them, even if it might be outlandish and it just doesn't seem too logical. I feel like you have to kind of go about that in a way where you kind of have to, whatever 10 years of goodwill they have, you gotta have to chip at that constantly until you reach to a point where it's like, okay, these guys ain't going back to be faces. You can't rationalize what they're doing at this point. So part of it's like, I think you're being a little extra, but the segment where the New Day came out in Boston and Kofi, I'll pause here because Moody just disappeared, but I'll kind of continue. But the part where Kofi went to go talk to his mom and try to get a hug, and she just left and she was dismissive. I thought that was great television. As I've said before on the pod, I am a big fan of telenovelas and just the absurdity and the drama filled within those storylines. And I think this was a good segment into highlighting that. I called this "Et tu mama" because Kofi had that look. How could you do this to me, mom? How could you do this to me? And I think we'll push this up because before I had this probably as a shake because, again, I understand what WWE is doing with the New Day and trying to make them heels. But I moved this up to mids for simply the fact that on Christmas Day, Kofi Kingston, we got Moody back.
Yeah, luckily I didn't have to restart it, but it did drop for whatever reason. But go ahead, finish whatever you were saying.
Well, no, yeah, I was saying that the segment where Kofi was talking to his mom and, he stepped out the ring and was trying to get a hug and whatnot. At the time, I was like, all right, I get what you're doing here. You're trying to make the New Days heel and things of that nature. So I was like, I originally had this as Shake. But, and I called this because I thought the segment was good. I called this Et tu mama, like et tu brute, right? It's like, how could you, mom?
Yeah.
You too, mom? But what really moved us up to Shake for me, from Shake to mid, is on Christmas Day, Kofi, like many others, posting up family pictures. He has his wife, his 2 or 3 kids that he has.
No, I remember what she said. Yeah, I saw this.
His dad on the right side of the picture. And then on the left side, it's supposed to be his mom. His mom is standing there, but he scribbles her out of the picture. And he says, I don't fight for my first name. I fight for my last. I was like, oh. Oh, I thought that was hilarious. So shout out to Mama Kofi. That was good. And her braids was looking nice. I was wondering why she got the sweatband on, but I was like, the braids was looking nice, moms. The braids was looking nice. So.
I would call that. I would still probably have that primo, honestly. Just like, especially when you add it up.
It should be primo. It should be primo. But like I said, like I know what they're doing.
So yeah, the crowd is still so hot, and you're just like, I still can't stand Kofi or the New Day right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like, and as simple as it is, I don't know if I've seen that before. Like just the walk off, from his parents, because it's like, or from his mom. Because even I think of like AEW when like Saraya was being a B word and her mom slapped her like in the women's title match. But it's like that makes sense because they're part of a wrestling family. That's like a whole movie is about Paige. So for her to just be like, all right, clearly I would assume on the outside looking in, not a wrestling fan at all. And then just be like, all right, explain it to your mom. She probably looks like she's in her 60s at least, I would imagine. And it's like, all right, mom, all you got to do is just stand up and walk off. Everybody's going to be behind you, okay? And it's like, all right, simple enough. And it just goes off without a hitch. So,
every black person knows that look from their mom when they do that. It's like, oh man, she's hella disappointed. She's super disappointed, man. That was heartbreaking. That was heartbreaking because your point, like Dom got in an argument with his mom, but like again, they're a wrestling family. She smacked. Like, did she smack Dom, or he said something to his mom, and then Ray came in and finally did something.
His mom slapped Rhea. That's what happened when they showed up. Yeah. And then she was like, "What? What?" And then he had to stand in between them. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to see that reaction from his mom, she played it well. And again, it really I got the segment. Again, if I wasn't saying the New Day was going to turn heel for months, yes, this is a primo. So I know what this is more so for me. I know what they're trying to do with the New Day, and I get it, and it's perfectly fine. I don't think they need to go over the top with it. But again, you're trying to break down 10 years of goodwill here. So yeah, I get it. I thought the scribbling out of the mom on the Christmas pic with the caption, awesome. I thought that was great. So that my only other thing from the show is Io Sky advances in the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. She was not supposed to be in the match. Kairi Sane got hurt last week by an attack from the PFC.
Oh my!
And so, I mean, Io advances. She's got Lyra next week. This is looks like it's Lyra's tournament to lose. Yeah,
she should win. I mean, Io is already a 2-time women's champion, at least 2 times. So, yeah, I mean, not to say that she's in a different league, but I mean, she kind of is. You know what I'm saying?
It gives validity for Lyra.
Yeah, exactly. Like that, she is a breakout superstar, and she's about to carry this title.
I bet you PFC is going to try to take out Io during the match and whatnot. So it's just this is right now the Women's Intercontinental Championship, maybe because of the predictability of it, is not as good as the Women's U.S. Intercontinental Championship, U.S. Championship tournament.
I mean, but we would say, I mean, we had Chelsea and Michin. We both had Chelsea and Michin in the finals. Like, it came down to those 2 that we booked. So, you would argue that that's predictable, right?
But we still didn't even know who's going to win.
Well, true. I mean, they could swerve us. I mean, I don't. Obviously, we understand EO doesn't need the championship, so that's why it should be.
And then on the
Lyra.
other side of the bracket, you got what? Dakota Kai versus Zoe Stark.
All right, it might. Who wins that? I want to say like straight up. If that was a straight up match, definitely Zoe wins that match.
I think with Kyrie out, EO is in the other match. PFC right now has a numbers advantage. And so PFC could definitely help Zoe get the win. PFC can definitely interfere and take out EO. And then you're left with Zoe versus Lyra. And then and then Damage Control takes out, Zoe in during that match.
Mm-hmm.
The other interesting
and then they
thing
can
would
have
be
that faction war for 2025.
The other interesting thing that I've heard was, you get EO versus Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
Damage Control versus Damage Control.
Yeah.
And what kind of rivalry that does. And then I think that would actually kind of be a little bit more interesting to see the fact that, hey, we know Dakota's had a lot of injuries the last couple of years. And, she is a talented worker. And to be in someone like the hands of EO, I think it could probably help her push to maybe a heel turn and for Dakota. And you could probably push EO to even more of a face turn.
Yeah.
And, Dakota on the mic as a heel coming after, EO and Kairi saying I could see Dakota coming out with the attitude of like, I've been carrying y'all for way too long and it's my time now.
I'd say that's.
You don't necessarily have to believe that, but I mean,
exactly.
By carrying, it's like she's the one talking. She's the one doing all the stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, EO barely says anything. Kairi don't say anything.
Yeah. I think, that would be such a good look for her to work with EO. Like, if she got that win on EO, like, I would argue that she should, but in kayfabe, there's no way that I don't even know Dakota Kai's finisher. Do you know what Dakota Kai's finisher is?
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, how does she even end a match? If I can't picture you ending the match with Io Sky, how can I book that? You know what I mean? And that's why I was like, I could have Zoe. I know Z360 that KOD into a knee lift, basically, or a GTS. So, but either way, I just want to see, she is a talented worker. If anything, I was thinking maybe just a solo run for her. Not that she has to go heel, but you gotta make us care, because with her being part of Damage Control, she's with the added her history of injuries and her being part of Damage Control. You got EO in there, Kairi, and even Asuka before she got hurt. She's outshined. I mean, in my opinion, those are the best. My favorite women's wrestler in the world is Asuka. And then I just told you, last week or 2 weeks ago, EO is exactly where Asuka was 3 years ago or 4 years ago, or wherever you want to talk. She is in her prime, and she's one of the best in-ring workers probably in all of wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just across all divisions. So, but yeah, she does have a fan base. Dakota Kai, guys like Cole, they still fuck with her. You know what I'm saying? You just need to give her a chance. So this is already going well. Just her shining in this tournament is doing something for me, for Dakota Kai. She doesn't necessarily have to be the initial, I don't have her for the initial winner, obviously, but she can hold that title sometime in 2025.
She's a good talker. I think that's the best thing that you can get out of probably any of the people that are that is available. Is she's the best talker.
Yeah.
And why does Chelsea have that title outside of Chelsea being also another talented wrestler? Good talker.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's my list. What did you have that I didn't cover as far, or where do you maybe agree or disagree on the show?
Sammy and Drew. I just want to circle back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What happened to Jay? like Jay is still on Raw, right?
Mhm.
Like he could have made the save. Obviously, I mean, we're going with the fact that these are taped. We know that, but like,
He came
I don't want
out.
to jump ahead, but like Sammy,
I
okay.
think he came
I
out.
just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure. Okay, because they had a match at the end, and of course, like I remember that overarching they put over on commentary, or Drew actually said it, how like we've done this before, you've never beaten me,
Yeah.
you know, and he's like 10-0 against Sammy after that main event. So okay, I was just making sure. 'Cause I was like, I remember the beatdown angle, but I was like, Sammy got his ass beat this week, but I don't want to skip ahead to SmackDown yet. So, but yeah, Drew's in his bag.
Anything else from Raw that stood out to you that you had on your mids, Primos, Reggie, Shake?
Nah, that's all the important stuff. But next door at the bodega,
Bodega.
the
Talk
most
about it.
important thing, the most important thing to me that happened was Lexus King winning the Heritage Cup. Charlie Dempsey getting turned on by his own goddamn father, dog. Like the
Did
old
he
school
though?
William Regal.
Did he though?
Oh, man, turned on him,
I was
man.
I saw that
mean,
live. I was hyped. I was like, oh, I was gonna name this Itu Papa.
right?
And I did that. I did that a couple weeks. I did that like a month or two ago when they first were like they first flirted with this
And
segment.
And so Willie Reeves, has he been on NXT recently? Like in the last month or so? Or was that his
Remember,
first
like,
pop up in a while?
It was, I can't remember it. I remember like a month or two ago, this similar segment happened with Lexus King and William Regal, where he was like, I need you to like use, underhanded tactics. And he was trying to give him a brass knucks. And he was like, nah, and stuff
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
right. That's right.
And remember,
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
yo, William Regal gonna turn on his own son?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, that's wild, B. That's when I first said Itu Papa.
So I forgot that part, but like the first thing that came to my head was like a year ago, or however long ago that was, when the last time we saw William Regal, obviously before that I forgot about, but they have that face to face with him and Charlie, like him and Charlie Dempsey are in the ring together, and he's Heritage Cup champion, and he was like, this cup represents Europeans that like wrestle with pride and all this stuff, and he was like, you better defend it with pride or something. You could. And I was like, dang, why are you being so vicious to the Pops, dog? like he just saying, like, work hard, basically. And so that's what came to my mind immediately. And then William Regal is, I mean, he's a heel to me, like growing up. Like, I think he's a natural heel, obviously. So it's just like, it makes sense that like William Regal would just do that. But I was like, dang, that's still, it not that it blew me away, but the Heritage Cup has been so protected. Like, that's what I really do appreciate about it. It has been very protected as like the stipulations and like people not being around a ringside and stuff like that. And you only get these certain amount of rope breaks. And for it to end with like, because I'm sure there's been other like heel tactics, like, putting your feet on the ropes or something like that, but there's never been a weapon used in the Heritage Cup. So for him to lose it like that, I'm like, dang, that's like, that's you besmirched, like William Regal besmirched the Heritage Cup. That's what he did. Like he besmirched the Heritage Cup by using like. So I
gotta go back. Did he have brass knucks on when he punched Lexus King? Because I know Lexus King had the brass knucks in his hand, and when he got knocked out, the brass knucks fell out of his hand and then landed near Charlie Dempsey. Now, Charlie Dempsey, why would you pick up the brass knucks?
Yeah, and put them on. Yeah.
Why would you pick up the brass knucks?
Yeah.
You should have been like Eddie Guerrero and just looked at the chair after you had used it and be like, "What? I didn't do anything."
Exactly. or just kick it out. Like.
So yeah, that's why I'm a little hesitant to even throw the Itu Papa, because I'm like, Charlie Dempsey calls himself the title. Yeah.
He set it up. He did set it up for you.
But no, I was surprised that Lexus King won the Heritage Cup, and I like it. I have that as mid-rising, just simply because it's just starting, and I'm really curious to see where this goes. I hope this is not a a 2-week hold the Heritage Cup, and then we'll give it back to Charlie. I hope this is something that I like Lexus King. He's a personality. He's a personality for sure. I think he's gonna be. I don't know if he'll ever reach the top of the card, but he is gonna be amazing on the mid card.
And I think this is a perfect title for him, if anything, because it's if you can't be in the NXT or North American Championship picture right now, we got this other thing. It's big and heavy, but it's still cool in my opinion. So
yeah,
I mean, it's cool to have a title that's not a belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. It just breaks the mold a little bit. You know what I mean? You can have when Gunther, obviously you're king and queen of the ring, but you don't have to wear the crown. You can hold it. That's why I like the fact that he held it, because it's that is the symbol of what I did. I don't need to actually wear it. So
I wonder if they're with the historical connections between William Regal and Brian Pillman are.
Yeah.
Brian Pillman Sr. to see if that, because they both were in WCW for a time period. I'm not sure. William Regal had a small portion before he came back as the William Regal we knew growing up, as the music that we use for Book of Wrestling. He was like an everyman's man, William Regal, and I think that was around the same time Brian Pillman was there before he passed away. But they obviously had spent time together in WCW, so I wonder if there's any kind of, maybe they've alluded to it on NXT that I probably missed, but I'd be curious to see if there's any connection between Lexus, Brian Pillman Sr. and William Regal.
Yeah, from 30 years ago.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if both Charlie and Lexus were both backstage as little babies when their fathers was there. You know what I'm saying? So that was my best thing on the show, on the card for me. What else did you have?
For me, that was the best. That was the best thing. And then personally, I think it's dumb, but the fact that we're having a 3-way for the NXT title,
I called it
with Eddie Thorpe in there.
Yeah.
I mean, but you're just stretching it out for, like you said, if Trick is gonna get directly called up, it's all right, cool. Let's do this WrestleMania season or whenever this next major one is gonna be, and then just put it on Oba. But I mean, it's just so funny because I think that's definitely one of the best champions of the week. I mean, we're gonna get to our uppies, but the one that you just said, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. How is Eddie Thorpe here? Okay. It is so stupid, but you got to do what you got to do. So that's shake for me. That's shake for me.
I did like how Obafemi looked dominant at the end of it, though. So, my thoughts are looking good for that. That Obafemi is going to be the new NXT World Champion. So I'm looking forward to that. Did you have anything else? What did you have that? I'm sure that's shake probably for you.
Stephanie Vaquer beating Cora Jade.
What did you have?
So many memes.
What did you have the Obafemi, the triple threat? What was that?
Shake.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would have Stephanie Vaquer defeating Cora Jade to shake. I just remember because there were so many memes of Cora Jade for thirsty reasons throughout that match. And I was just like, geez, I don't know if you saw, but there was one that went really viral. And I was just like, dang, okay. What else big happened? Oh yeah, OTM, they're the number one contenders, right?
Yeah, I have that as my shake is OTM wins the number one contendership for the tag team titles. I don't know if they're gonna win. It would be interesting to see them win because the faction that they are part of, Jada Parker is the star.
She is carrying them. She is carrying OTM on her back, dog.
Darren Sharper put the team on his back.
They have done one thing. They have done one thing so far, which was when Scripps was still with them. And oh man, Andre Chase, he came to them for the loan because he owed Tony D'Angelo money. He came to them for for a loan. I was like, that's the one thing I remember. And they were like, all right, well, if they don't break your legs, we're gonna break your legs. You're gonna have 4 people breaking your legs, if you don't bring us our money back. But yeah, ever since then it's been just Jada Parker. But yeah, they finally did something. The tag team.
They have a good look. They have a good look to them. They're very intimidating. You know, they look good when they come out with Jada. I think if they are able to knock off Fraxium, and maybe Fraxium gets called up to the main roster, it's a good look. I think seeing them come out, even if Jada doesn't have the belt, have a belt of her own, seeing them behind her with 2 belts of their own, that's a good look. And I would be intrigued to see them. I don't think they would. I'm not sure of like their mic skills entirely, but they don't seem like they can't cut a promo. I think they probably cut a promo in the similar fashion of Jada Parker. So again, I think it'd be a good look. It being some attitude to the division, you know, and so I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah, I would immediately when you said that, I'm just like, man, what are the betting odds on that? Like, it's got to be like, you know, like minus 700 for Fraxium to retain. Like, it's gonna be easy money.
That's why you got to take it to the streets with them, man. They not gonna win that as a straight wrestling match. You got to be heel tacticking. You got to be dirty. You got to be like going at people's, you know, back of their knees and taking them out and just taking it, being street with it, you know. Quote unquote. So, but I think it will be a good look for the overall package.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I have that at shake, but it could definitely move up depending on if they actually take them seriously, or are they just like another tag team for Fraxium to get through.
Okay.
That's it for me from the bodega. But so
mid-rising, my thirst for Ava. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Yep. Don't want the boss.
To the coffee shop. See, you bringing it up. On to the coffee shop.
Don't want the final. I'm just saying, don't want the final boss to fucking shut us down.
I know that's right. I was like, she came out there during that segment for the triple threat.
Yeah, I know. I, said, okay. I was like, okay, Ava.
I said, okay. Applying pressure out here. But yeah, the coffee shop right next door.
Coffee shop. Do you want to start? It's your domain. Go home show for Worlds End.
Really, it's all about that's the go home. So like really what's in my mind is the we're not doing predictions yet, but the C2 finales.
Final.
The finals, or the semifinals and then the final. But yeah, we got that answer here. So Okada beat Shelton, and who else was the other one?
Ricochet tied with Kyle Fletcher.
Not Will. Oh no, Kyle Fletcher beat Daniel Garcia because he brainbusted him to death. Oh man. Kyle Fletcher brainbusted the crap out of Daniel. That almost made my heart break. So he pulled that. I guess I might as well start there since I remember that. That was probably the best match. I mean, for my style, just because it was very hard hitting, and I'm all about like Daniel Garcia and like even his little taunt dance, but the proto start has been made.
Ricochet beat tied with Darby Allin.
That's what it was. Okay. But he actually pulled Sammy's old spot, you know, his Ring of Honor finisher, the one that he pulled out at WrestleMania this year, the brainbuster into the top turnbuckle. He did that, and the way that went, like, because obviously he had firm grip of him in that, you know, suplex kind of grip position. So when he drops him, at first I thought it was a botch. Like, I didn't realize what had happened, or I knew that he dropped his head on there, but I thought that they were both about to tumble out. But then it's like, oh, okay, no, he hit him with it, and he was like safely laying him on the apron. That's what happened. So after I went back and rewatched it, it's like, okay, yeah, you're just being professional, obviously, because he fell like out, not out of the ring, but out from beyond the ropes, like onto the apron. But yeah, after that, I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, it's a wrap now. But Daniel Garcia gave it everything that he had, but I think that this was basically guaranteed to happen. Almost like the way that we called Chelsea Green and Michin. I think it's almost guaranteed. We're getting the semifinal of Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher again. So this will be Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay 3. in the semifinal at Worlds End. I'm looking forward to that for sure.
And that's your primo?
But yeah, the match was great. That'd be my primo. Yeah.
Okay.
That match. A great in-ring match.
Okay. Yeah, both my mids. I didn't have anything. I really didn't have any. I don't think I have any primos this week, but my two mids here are both from the C2. First, Okada over Shelton. Obviously these two are going to put on a great match, but what really I liked was the end of the match when, you know, Shelton kind of has his hand out and then it looks like Okada is just about to, you know, shake his hand, but then give him the middle finger. But he ended up just shaking his hand. Yeah. I like that. I genuinely appreciated that. I think, you know, obviously Okada has this character and he could be, you know, the one word guy or the middle finger guy or whatever it may be. But I do think, you know, there is something to, you know, just like, again, the art of the wrestling, the sport of wrestling, and just having the respect for your opponent. And again, I think for someone like Shelton, not just within the context of AEW and what he's doing as a character, but just as far as his career and who he has been, I really appreciated that. For a moment, we could take a break from just the childish shit that he does, even though, again, it's part of the character. I appreciate the respect to giving from someone like Okada to just be like, hey,
from overseas, no games, right? Like
no games, respect, handshake, walk off. Sometimes that's what we need. So I give that.
If anything, I took it a step further where, like, you know, the Elite's been off TV. Like, he was doing most of that, you know, with the Elite when the Elite was putting the battery in his back. And they've been gone off TV ever since, you know, the Death Rider showed up. So I think they're just warming up to a face turn, honestly. I could see that. Like, him as a Continental Champion face turn. And that's obviously shaking your opponent's hand is, like, the most face thing to do. So, yeah. But yeah, like you said, I definitely appreciated it. And it's like the fact that it crossed the pond, the big pond, Pacific Ocean, like Shelton's name got over there. Like, he knows who he is. You know what I mean? So, and as I put to you, like, Okada is basically Bret Hart-ish. He's like Bret Hart / like Rock, you know, of New Japan. Or it's either him or Hiroshi Tanahashi. So, yeah, that was a very cool visual. And I know, like, first time, I mean, I don't know if they ever worked together, but for me, I took note that I'm like, yeah, this is the first time that these two are together. Like, I've never seen it. So, yeah, very cool moment.
My other mid that I had is this is general heel Ricochet. I'm not saying I'm like 100% on board with it. I'm not saying 100% on board. Maybe I'm not saying this 100% works for me quite yet. There's some stuff that is just cheesy, you know, but I think that's just Ricochet. But I think the cheesiness is what he is kind of leaning into, which if you're going to lean into it, like,
believe that.
I think that works. The ha-has, the Jadakiss laugh we talked about last week. I'm like, go ahead, bro. If that's how you want to get over, like, go ahead. Like, that's funny. But I think what was funny to me, I think it was during the Darby Allin match or someone else's match. I forget. But somebody tried to, like, he was complaining to the ref that he was like, hey, ref, he's pulling my hair. He's like, the ref was like, you don't got no hair.
That was funny.
And then, like, the fans, because this was the second taping at the Hammerstein Ballroom, again, which we said would look good, and it does look good for them. They were saying we want Samantha. I think they were saying like F you Ricochet or something like that nature. They may be.
Yeah, they go crazy.
They were throwing toilet paper at my dude. So, it's a start. It's a start. Yeah. And I'm intrigued to see how well he adapts to it. Because again, it's hard to be a talker as a face. You know, you have to be generic. You have to be very cookie cutter in how you are talking and delivering, and you have to keep your head up high type of stuff. The heel, you can have a little bit more fun. You could poke fun at the city and your opponents and just be a complete like asshole, and it's all within the nature of trying to get over. So again, our biggest thing with Ricochet is like, bro, we know you could wrestle. Darby Allin match was great. ended up in a tie. He protected Darby and makes you look good too as well. The biggest thing for Ricochet is, hey, we want you to talk more and, see what you got. And it's easier to do it as a heel than it is as a face. So it's a good start. Let's see how he keeps it up.
Yeah, I like this dorkiness. I just hope it's continued well, basically. But I'm in on the clearly square loser Ricochet, thinking that he's fly, Yeah, that's all I really guess last act. Coffee shop extension. This would be in my I'll call it shake. The continued amnesia of Toni Storm on Rampage. She defeated her best friend that she doesn't remember at all. And I thought that it was funny because the segment before that, she's like walks in, I forget, like Renee Paquette. She's doing an interview with like Tara Valkyrie. Taya Valkyrie. Yeah, thank you. And she just walks up, interrupts him. She's like, "Oh yeah, hey, Toni Storm, nice to meet you. Just so proud to be here." And she's like, "You're not getting any of this shit past me." Basically, I bet you have a tattoo of a little rabbit with a knife through it, don't you? How did you know that? That was a whole like season of booking between those two because they're actually like best friends from way back. So yeah, but she defeats her old best friend and like does it with the most devastating move of a roll up and like runs out like she stole one, she's an underdog.
Like the 1, 2, 3 kid. So,
yeah, exactly. Perfect rendition, 1, 2, 3 kid. And I think this might be Primo, actually, but what I believe, I guess, is the last episode of Rampage. This Friday just happened. So
I tried to look that up and I couldn't find it because I saw that floating around that like Tony told the crowd that we're going to be taking a break on Rampage or something like that, but I couldn't find anything, so that's why it's not on the Notion doc.
Yeah. If anything, they should get rid of Rampage anyway. Like Collision is clearly better, and you already got just do those 2 shows. That's just my opinion anyway. But there was a whole lot of chaos at the end there. It just turns into a brawl, and eventually Moxley and Marina Shafir, his Secret Service agent, like gets him out of there, and they go to the production truck, and he's like, "I'm shutting the show down." And the show goes off, and I'm like, okay, that's it for Rampage. And I'm like, hopefully permanently, that's Primo. Turn Rampage off.
That's funny. But I saw that too. I saw that clip too on was that Rampage or Collision? I forget which one it was, but it was interesting. I'm glad that like at least there was like AEW. It's kind of like AEW. It's like WCW versus NWO. It's like finally somebody from WCW as a collective came to do something about this.
Yeah.
Because y'all let these motherfuckers on your show for 4 months just talk about this is not your show. This is not your show. And just don't do anything. You let 3 people just try to handle all the business. Whereas like y'all got like 20 other wrestlers right there that are not part of this faction. Like, can y'all do something about this? So it was nice to see that, like in a sense. So, but we'll see what happens with Rampage if it is around or if it's taking a bit of a hiatus.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had, though.
All right, let's move over to Thursday, and we are going to remix today's book of wrestling. Instead of having a traditional look back in the yesteryears of wrestling, we're going to use this to call it, working title, The Uppies. And I don't have any music for this, but this is the Uppies, the champions of the year, as we reflect back on 2024. And we have several categories to go through here. And we will start with male or men's superstar of the year. And some of the nominees include Cody Rhodes, Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Swerve Strickland, or if anybody has other suggestions, etc/other. So,
exactly. Okay,
Moody,
I'm glad you got that because I was like, that was just top of mind. I was putting them in there.
Who is your men's superstar of the year?
Oh man, I feel like this is obviously a 2-man race, or well, it could be 3-man, but I just don't like. Just like how we said in Saturday Night Main Event, it's like, yo, you can't bet against Cody, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think you can only put Cody there. And the year he's had has just been too electric. Obviously, WrestleMania 40 goes without saying. Like that's really what it all is. And then this title run has actually been way better than I think a lot of people anticipated. Booked very strongly. So it's Cody for me.
All right, I'll put that in for you since you don't have your computer handy to you. But obviously Cody is the easy answer, and I wouldn't be mad at anybody saying
Yeah.
that Cody's the right answer. I do think Cody's first half up until WrestleMania was stronger than the rest of the year.
Mhm.
I think the rest of the year, not saying it was bad, but traditional championship. Like Cody's storyline is kind of what do we do at the next WrestleMania?
Mhm.
It's and everything else is kind of, just keeping up the character and, making the appearances and defending the titles and things of that nature, especially when the title hasn't been defended under the Roman Reigns empire the last 3-4 years. It's like, hey, now we got two heavyweight championships being defended on a somewhat
Mhm.
regular basis. I'm gonna go Drew McIntyre as my men's wrestler of the year, superstar of the year.
That was the third. That-
Yeah, Drew, I think whether he has a title or not, this is probably Drew's best year.
yeah.
We mentioned it today when we talked about him on Raw this past week and just now being a one-man army. But to start the year at the Royal Rumble, get in a feud with CM Punk, which wasn't supposed to happen. And, or however it was, because remember, CM Punk and him got hurt, and then
Yeah.
Punk got hurt at the Rumble. Drew took claim of that, and then they've had their whole feud that went through the entire half the year. Drew goes through and has all these other, like, Drew has been killing it from a mic standpoint. Like, we knew Drew was a talented wrestler, especially since he's come back and, in his muscular form
Yeah.
and, really felt it. Like, right now, Drew, he's always been called the Scottish psychopath. This year than ever has really made him like the true Scottish psychopath.
Yeah.
This dude has
For
been
sure.
crazy. Like, not only in the ring, but on the mic. And so for that, Drew McIntyre is my men's wrestler of the year, superstar of the year.
For sure. Not mad at that either. Definitely the best year of his career.
Women's superstar of the year: Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, Nia Jax, Roxanne Perez, etc.
I'll die on the hill. You know I'm not budging. Toni Storm. Toni Storm. I'm gonna die on this hill the same way that I died on Asuka should have ripped off Bianca Belair's arm at WrestleMania. So Toni Storm, and to me, I was so entertained by her like this
Yeah.
entire year that it's not even close for me personally.
I'm not going to argue here with you. I had a debate on Nia Jax being women's wrestler superstar of the year because, again, I think her coming back from, everything, whether it be being released and then having the double ACL surgeries and having to come back
Mhm.
to, not saying I had a problem with her weight before, but, she's obviously slimmed down and, that's actually enhanced some of her ring work as well, winning the championship, winning the Queen of the Ring. Nia, and then her mic work has been strong as well as too. And so Nia is definitely probably the only other person on here that I think would probably have a chance at taking down Toni Storm on this. But I think Toni Storm's character work has been done really well. And then to flip it at the end of the year with, the amnesia line, it's like, okay, like now I'm intrigued to see what happens with Toni Storm in 2025. Because I think with Nia, we know that it's eventually going to lead to, Tiffany Stratton taking the belt from her. But I think Nia, we've always asked her to be put in the position of who she is as far as legacy, as far as appearance and physical dominance. Oh, Moody ducked out again. Have to wait for a second. But either way, Nia had a very strong claim to winning Women's Superstar of the Year. She's my runner-up, but I think I will have to agree with Moody that Toni Storm is unanimously between the two of us, Women's Superstar of the Year. And take a quick pause just to see if Moody can come back in here before we move on to our Worker of the Year. And hopefully, for people that are listening without having the visual, Moody is currently on vacation in South Carolina, so he is working with not the most optimal Wi-Fi setup right now. He's streaming on his phone, so while it lasts for a good while, sometimes he can have some of these hiccups, as any technology issues can happen. And so just giving him a few minutes to hop back on to finish out our Champions of the Year for the Uppies. So giving us a few breaks, but going on to Worker of the Year, just to kind of get some of these nominees out the way. For Worker of the Year, we have listed Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, Gunther, Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, and etc. All great nominees here. Oh, and looks like we got Moody coming back into the fray. Video picture is taking some time to load up, and here we go. What up? Can you hear me? Can't hear me?
Yeah, I
Can you
can.
hear me?
There we go.
Okay. I was like,
Yes, I can. Yes.
You just gave me
Yes, now
like
I
a
can.
new
That's
audio
what I was
signal.
saying.
I was like,
I just
yeah.
came in, like, as I was saying that.
Okay. No, yeah, I was just saying, we both unanimously agree on Toni Storm being champion of the week, a champion of the Women's Superstar of the Year.
Okay.
So now it made it close for me, but I had to. It's Toni Storm. I think that was an easy choice. Moving on to Worker of the Year, I quickly went through the nominees: Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, Gunther, Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, etc.
I got this. This was actually a razor's edge for me. This one was a razor's edge. I just think Will Ospreay is in his prime. This would go to Will Ospreay. My two by a hair is Io Sky.
Okay,
like he just edges her out. Like the match with him him and Bryan Danielson at Dynasty is probably my match of the year. Not to predict, going ahead, but him and Swerve, that was a iconic moment. Like just him actually capturing the AEW title. You know what I mean? Like he has been on one, and then just the cherry on top with him finishing his career with actually being killed on TV. Jesus. So like, he gave us all the enjoyment all the way up until his death. There's nothing else you could say. But yeah, Will Ospreay. And even just on the week to week basis, Will Ospreay is putting them on, dog. On the week to week, it's like, like you were amazed even with him and Darby. Was that last week? That was crazy. But anyway,
no, yeah. I mean, again, especially for someone that is like, just becoming, familiar. Like I've heard the name, Will Ospreay, but I'm not watching that many international matches like that. So, that's the luxury of being on American television. It's like you get a lot more eyes on you that traditionally would not have seen you before. And so, like I said, that Darby Allin Will Ospreay match is like, again, as much as we can kind of get on Darby Allin for being a crash test dummy, the dude can actually wrestle. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm gonna go with an etc/other.
Okay, good.
And we talked about this a few weeks ago when the ESPN top 25
or top 30 under 30.
Yeah, whatever that list was. Dominic Mysterio. It's my Worker of the Year. Yeah. We talk about this as far as he's on TV a lot. He's on Raw. He's on NXT. He's on SmackDown. He's on house shows. He's fighting everybody.
He's putting in the work for sure. If there's a definition of worker, it's him for sure.
Hey, and he got a lot of slack early in his career because he didn't have NXT. oh, you're Rey Mysterio's son. You could just come right up on the main roster, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, he's basically getting his NXT run right now on the main roster, and he's doing a hell of a job with it. We have our issues with Judgment Day, but as far as Dominic himself, I think it's an amazing feat of like your father is the ultimate face, and you could easily have fallen into that step where you are just like not too far from an apple that didn't fall too far from the tree. Mm-hmm. He fell and rolled down another hill and is so far away from his father right now, where again, we talk about the New Day having to tear down 10 years of goodwill. It ain't going to be easy to make Dominic a face. Unless he has a coming together with his father, like moment at like WrestleMania, it is going to be hard to see Dominic as a face, which you would never think from a Mysterio to do at that level. So for Dominic, for all the work that he puts in, he might get a lot of crap. We all boo him. It's all tongue in cheek. It all works. Dominic is my worker of the year.
Yeah. No, that's a great pick. And like I said, no argument here. I pointed out the fact that he's working more than anybody else just a few weeks ago. So yeah, he's that guy for sure. But when he goes face, it'll be awesome to have like, the spirit of Eddie Guerrero reincarnated again, because he's gonna lie, cheat, and steal, right? That's his character. So it's like once he goes face, he should just keep doing those things. He should just do that, just revive that. Like that's what it's gonna be. It'll be awesome. Maybe not the lowrider, but like I'm willing to bet there's gonna be a plenty of like throwing a chair at somebody and just laying down. Like once he's a face, like I'm ready for it. We'll cheer the crap out of Dom once he starts doing that.
Yeah, it will be fun. So, but that's my worker of the year. Like I said, one on that ESPN list. I'm like, that's a little. He's definitely top 5. One, I was a little bit much, but I'm not trying to disrespect Dom and saying he doesn't deserve it. It's just like, hey, I still might put Rhea. I still put Tony. There's a couple people that I would put him up there, but he's definitely top 5. If not top 5, definitely top 10. And so, shout out to Dom. Tag team of the year. I'll go because this was pretty, just from the list of contenders that I see here, it seems like a pretty easy, and I can't think of another. Fraxium.
Yeah, it was between Fraxium and Powerbuff Girls. That's what it really was between. But like Fraxium, for whatever reason, it seems like their whole, like as a team, their character is like, they always get pushed to the limit. Like to the point where like you said, you were like, yo, if I'm Nathan Frazier, I'm looking at Axiom kind of sideways, just because it's like, yo, we got to defend these titles in the main event. But it's like, it don't matter when their chemistry is that good. Like that's a lock. The tag team championships. Hey,
Nathan Frazier was in this Iron Survivor first match of the night.
Yeah, he was.
Comes out later for 3 matches later with taped up ribs, and it's like, all right, y'all gotta be losing these titles. No,
right?
You're not winning. So I was like, okay. I'm like,
they're just too.
Do I think OCM could win this match? Sure, but it would be all predicated on Fraxium getting called up to the main roster. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Basically,
so it's like I don't know how you take them out. So I think that's another unanimous decision on tag teams is Fraxium.
Fraxium for sure.
That's a weird tag team because that's kind of the tag team where it's like these are just 2 motherfuckers that were just thrown together, and usually we're not fans of that, but they make it work out.
If you nurture it, that's the whole thing. It's like, I mean, because really, it's literally like their work that gets them over, right? Their in-ring stuff. But it's like their chemistry is so good that, and they've been together so long that now we call them Fraxium, even though the entire time coming down, like that's never been an official name. It's Nathan Frazier and Axiom. Like that's still their names, but now they feel like a tag team, and that's why we call them that. So they've come full circle. They've defeated the 2 random wrestlers put together. Like they're a tag team for sure. Nice.
Let's move on to a bigger set of groups. Faction of the group, faction of the year. And I didn't even go through the tag team list just to kind of give out the other nominees. FTR, MCMG, DIY, Judgment Day, Fraxium, A-Town Down Under, etc. Other, you mentioned the Powerbuff Girls, which I mean, honestly, I would just like to give them the tag team just because we came up with the name.
No, yeah, true. We did.
But Judgment Day is MCMG just too new. FTR, they could probably get it every year, but like, are they even like on TV that much? I think that's more like a legacy.
Yeah. They're in the. They're
E-Town Down Under has had a down year. No pun intended. DIY.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued with the heel turn.
Two-time tag team champs in 1 year. That's a strong contender, and with the heel turn.
Yeah, but I'm more curious to see what they do after the heel turn. So 2025 seemed like it might be a better year for them than 2024. Another fall off. Are we back yet? Can you hear me? Nope. Guess we'll have to wait for Moody again. And that seems like we have another glitch in the matrix. Our next category for the Uppies is Faction of the Year. And the nominees for Faction of the Year go as The Bloodline, The Death Riders, The Judgment Day, The Conglomeration, The Don Callis family, The D'Angelo family, and then obviously etc/other if anybody has them. As we wait for Moody to reconnect again, I'm gonna be the boring person here, and my faction of the year goes to the Bloodline. And you could pick the new Bloodline, the old Bloodline. It doesn't matter. The Bloodline is still the best storyline in wrestling business, period. Dating back from the beginning of the year when you had the OG Bloodline and everything that was going on with them, the return of The Rock, him acknowledging Roman, which we thought we would never do, to everything that went up into WrestleMania 40, to the split afterwards, to the introduction of Jacob Fatu, the Tonga twins, everything going on all the way up into Survivor Series, War Games, going all the way up into what we got on Monday, this in 2 weeks when we get into Raw on Netflix, when we have a tribal chief match, tribal combat match between Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. Getting into Faction of the Year, Moody. I said I was going to be the boring guy, and I said the Bloodline is my Faction of the Year. Just for the simple fact, like I said, I was kind of rambling. I was like, hey, it's still the best wrestling storyline in the business. Period. Starting from, can you hear me? I think try cutting off your video if that might help. I don't know if you can cut off your video. Either way, the Bloodline is still the number one storyline, and I think it just gets better with time. You can say sometimes it might stretch out. Sometimes it might be a little kind of, we're kind of dragging our feet here for a little bit, but overall, it is the most engaging storyline, no matter what show they pop up on, whether it be Raw, SmackDown, if they choose to make themselves a presence on NXT, it doesn't matter. The Bloodline is attention grabbing, and it's easily the best faction of the year. So that is my Faction of the Year, and Moody's having some severe tech problems right now. He's dropped again. So I'm going to continue on, and we'll catch up on him for the next category as well to get his. He'll have to do double time on his category. So I'm going to jump into segment of the year as we continue to wait for Moody to get a little bit more of a stable connection. Oh, back again.
The worst internet connection I've had to deal with so far. Literally, the second I come back, it comes back. This is on data, by the way. I'm staring at 5G, and then it's just gone. Like,
again, that is infrastructure, because again, you're in somewhere South Carolina, probably not to a major city. So it's like, good luck. Yeah. You got to find the best internet connection you can. So I was gonna jump into segment, but just to give you time to go. But go ahead give me your faction.
What's the nominees? Give me the nominees again.
For faction?
Yeah.
Bloodline, Death Riders, Judgment Day, Conglomeration, Don Callis family, D'Angelo family, and etc. My second runner-up was D'Angelo family.
D'Angelo,
But again, the Bloodline is just
yeah.
That's almost presidential storyline.
Jacob Fatu, man. I think it's literally just like if it wasn't them, yeah, it's a Bloodline. It's unanimous.
That's the difference between Cody. That's the difference between the Cody not winning Superstar of the Year for me is because Cody, I thought the first half up to WrestleMania was good, and then everything else is just kind of like, the standard. To have the Bloodline be a single unit at WrestleMania and then have the split after WrestleMania and then and include Jacob Fatu, include the Tonga twins, and then have this whole Civil War battle going on and everything like that to go into War Games. It's like, now we got Tribal Combat on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. It's the best storyline in wrestling, period.
Yep. It's the Bloodline, for sure.
Yeah. Segment of the year. We have some really good nominees. Chelsea Green gets trashed. Hangman burning Swerve's house down. The Wyatt Six debut. Bronson Reed drowning Seth in the tsunamis. Cody being the final boss. Cody's beating by the final boss. Jay wins the IC title on Raw, etc/other. What do you got?
That was really hard because obviously I love all those moments. Like last night after we got off the phone, like that was obviously I put that all the nominees, just the quick stuff like that. All my favorite stuff was, and this is like one of the hardest. Like just because it's like, damn, I look like you remember when the Wyatt Six debut happened, bruh, and Chad Gable's dead with a gunshot wound in his head. You're like, what? And then he says, "We're here." Just that is like so chef's kiss. Like it's freaking hard. I want to pick I think I want to pick the Wyatt Six. Like doing that for Bray and like his creations that we've seen over the years finally coming out. Like that was an emotional moment, a full circle moment,
I don't blame you. That's a really good. These are all really good. I did when I was looking at a lot of these segments. I was like, some of these segments could fit into the other category that we have coming up next, the OMG moment. So
it's hard.
I'm like, okay, how do I get this? And if I had to pick between the ones that we have listed as nominees, Bronson drowning Seth in tsunamis is a really good one. Cody's beating by the final boss, that was definitely really good. I think I have to go with my personal favorite of the year, which is not listed. R-Truth winning tag team championship at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I genuinely popped for that.
Yeah.
Like out of not just from like a storyline standpoint, for like I've been watching this dude as K-Quick since 1999.
Yeah. And obviously
he's won a tag team championships before, but not under these circumstances. He's never had a WrestleMania moment.
Yeah. And for context, because obviously this does not matter. We made these awards up. But the way I was thinking about it was because it was segment of the year was like TV, and that's why I had OMG pay-per-view. So because you're right, they do overlap so much and just like the impact that they have that I was like, all right, how can I actually separate these? But so I just had to kind of separate it in like TV and pay-per-view. So that's how I did it. But I don't know, the more I think about it, like because it feels wrong. Like I cannot allow this year to pass and not acknowledge Swerve and Hangman. I can't, because I'm gonna swerve on that. Like it's not a swerve, it's my pick. But because for me it was Cody or Swerve, right? And Cody is just the right picture or is the right answer for male superstar of the year, but Swerve was my favorite for sure. So I gotta acknowledge the burning the house down like was so sick. And then I don't know if you saw this, but AEW on YouTube, they put up a video. I couldn't find it, so I think they took it down, but it was called Christmas with the Hangman. And those like log, like just the firewood, like log, like people put on like Netflix. It was that, but it was just him in front of Swerve's house. They just had it on repeat. It was just Hangman drinking like on repeat in front of Swerve's house, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." I was like, "That was forever." Yeah, that'll be my, what's it called? A Yule log. Yeah, that was like a Yule log of Hangman in front of Swerve's house burning it down.
So is that your segment of the year, Swerve burning the house down, or is that OMG?
Yeah, Hangman burning the house down. Yeah, that'll be my segment of the year for sure.
That's your segment or your OMG?
No, my segment. Yeah, my TV segment of the year.
So knocked off Bray Wyatt and not Bray Wyatt, but the Wyatt 6 debut. Okay. So then let's get into the OMGs. OMG moment of the year. We have as nominees Hangman's stiff chair shot to Swerve.
Yeah.
Roman's return at SummerSlam. Undertaker's return at WrestleMania 40. Death Rider's killing Bryan Danielson, etc. Other. I'm gonna let you go first because I think I need to think through my thoughts on this one.
Yeah. I mean, for the Undertaker return, to me, like, obviously we talked about it when it happened. Because with The Rock coming down, we all feel like the direct opposite of The Rock is Stone Cold, right? So it's like Stone Cold could have been in that spot. But to me, Undertaker coming is like, Undertaker is the spirit of WrestleMania. He is like the physical embodiment, having the streak and all that type of stuff. So the fact that he comes down, and it makes sense to me that the only thing above the final boss is like literally WrestleMania itself, which Undertaker represents. And it's like, no, you are christened Cody. WrestleMania wants you to be champion. That's why that stuck with me. The chair shot speaks for itself. I just don't think I've seen a murder on television before, or in wrestling television. We've seen Vince get in a car and then it exploded when it's clearly a cut. Mm-hmm. We've seen people fall from heights onto protective pads and stuff. That's very common.
Did Darby falling through the glass that happened this year, or was that last year?
That was last year. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, and that's also just the way that it made me feel in the moment, because you were on the highest high of like Bryan Danielson was champion for a month. Like that's it. Like we thought we was getting off. I truly believed that we were getting a at least 6 month like banger. But then you look back and you realize that's what he was doing that whole year already. And it's just like, that was I gotta say that was probably the OMG. If only because we knew Roman was coming back. So that's the only reason that it beats it.
So you got Death Riders killing Danielson?
Yeah. And it's sad to say that they haven't like been as hot as when they came on. But like that moment, I was that when Undertaker lost the streak and there was the fat black dude like this. That was mine. Yeah, that was mine this year when it's like, oh, what, he lost and they killed him? Like, what? Oh, man.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Especially like the bag over the head is like, bro, what are you guys doing?
That's, you scratching the surface of realism. Like, you get into the real, like, what are we doing here?
Quick question for you. So the Hangman stiff shot to Swerve, was that the cage match?
Yeah, that was the unsanctioned steel cage. Yeah.
Give me all of that. I'm not even putting just the stiff chair shot. I'm taking the entire match.
The hypodermic needle.
Hypodermic needles. Honestly, the thing that stands out to me is just the the power bomb on the cinder block?
Vertebreaker. He gave Hangman a vertebreaker onto a cinder block. That is crazy. Yeah.
So that is probably just because I remember coming out of that, I'm just like, that was the next match after Swerve burned, after his house got burnt. Hangman burned down Swerve's house. And so, again, we talked about this in real time when it happened. I thought some of it was a bit excessive, but hey, you built the story like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand. In past, I'm saying like, you guys are just kind of doing this just for the shock value of it. Some of it's definitely just shock value. I don't like to see him take us a vertebreaker or anything with a cinder block like that. I don't care for the hypodermic needles.
A brick is just a smaller cinder block. So
that's you're still landing on your lower back, bro. I don't care.
Yeah, that was a crazy spot. That was sickening. Yeah.
So I'm wrapping all of that shit in.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the stiff chair shot to the head. That's how it's crazy like that. So the unsanctioned match is just my is my OMG moment of the year.
Yeah.
I spelled like 3 words wrong typing that in. Oh my gosh. And then it won't give me the...
Hey, you didn't major in English. It's fine. We just speak English.
Right. That whole thing is my champions is my OMG moment of the year.
Yeah, got you. These are all solid picks for sure.
No, I'm glad that we're also picking like just others and stuff like that. We're not just sticking to the thing, so that we're having some good choices here. All right, 4 more categories left. Heel turn of the year. Mariah May turns on Toni Storm. New Day turn on Big E. KO package pile driver to Cody, which he already had heel turn by then, but I get that was a significant. Okada debuts and joins the Elite. Dominic turns on Rhea at SummerSlam, etc. Other.
That Dominic's turn is good. Oh man. I don't know, the big you just start I know we just started it, but the New Day heel turn, it rips my heart out, dog. Like I can't. Like the way that they That's what I found a whole new. You said what?
That's what I'm going with. Even though I predicted it and I was like, this is where I hope they're going. The fact that they're doing it and then the way it went up. When Kofi was like, so you broke your neck.
What?
So what?
That was the one. Yeah. Those 2 words, that's what did it. And you're like, what, Kofi? Are you smoking, dog? Like, it's a broken neck. Like, but yeah, it's gotta be New Day. Yeah, New Day turning on Biggie. That's nuts.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
It's funny because it was like our second episode or our first episode where Mariah May turned on Toni Storm, and
you were like, second or third.
That's presidential. I was like, bro, really?
Yeah.
And now you can't. Now it can't even win Champion of the Year for you.
Yeah, it's I try. Like I said, I keep remembering. I tried to come up with a new one. It was Primo-dential. I was trying to put it in between, but it started. So really, what I was trying to say was top shelf, clearly, because now I got the framework. That's what I was saying. But yeah. In the moment, for sure, I don't regret any of it. She beat the hell out of her with that stiletto, dog. She had her at the top of the, like, with the heel. I was like, and then you got to be savage.
Pumps, heels, what's up?
Basically, if they would have started playing some crime bomb, stilettos, pumps in the club. That would be hilarious. Oh, snap.
Oh, rivalry of the year. Drew, Punk, Swerve, Hangman, Rhea, Liv, Roman, Solo. You have Roman Solo twice here.
Accident.
Trick, Ethan, etc. Other.
Drew and Punk for sure.
It's my champion. It's my male superstar of the year. Men's superstar of the year. You think I'm going to go anything different? Come on now.
Yeah. Because that's what's honestly been sitting in my head is like just me picking Cody still. Because I'm like, I still feel like that's right, but like I said, Swerve's my favorite. So
I mean, but again, for me, I think
the most entertained this year was Swerve. He entertained me the most.
I wasn't sure of Punk. Not like it was more so on the wrestling capacity of like, okay, like you haven't really been wrestling like that. As far as consecutively like that, you are a better talker at this moment, and not say he can't wrestle, but again. He doesn't need to wrestle all the time. So again, to see the verbal confrontations for weeks, and it was like, that's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's good enough. Like this, people were like, this raised Drew stock too. It raised both their stocks. Like Punk, I'm like, okay, like I was cool with Punk in his first iteration. But I wasn't like on the Punk hype train as many people were. I wasn't calling him the best in the world. I was like, all right, he's cool. He's had some moments. I wasn't like the pipe bomb was all right to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't as transformative as people may think it is, but I think Punk is doing some of the best work.
Yeah, for sure.
This year. And then Drew, again, men's superstar of the year for me, best work. So these two had A+ years on both sides, and Drew is like, okay, it's kind of hitting his trajectory. Punk, I would have not been able to tell you that last year.
Honestly, if there was a way to this is I would, if I could, which we won't do this, but I would say this is a push because WWE and like you said, AEW being modern WCW, and that whole soliloquy you just went on, both of them raising each other's tide, you could say absolutely everything about Swerve and Hangman. They made each other main eventers. They made each other main eventers. Like Swerve the Eighth is a thing. Anytime he's on screen, you get chants. Like anytime you hear Hangman's music, people start screaming cowboy shit. So it's that is a true push to me of rivalry. The only reason they would probably get the edge is because of the Hell in a Cell match. And which honestly I would have equivalent to the unsanctioned steel cage match as far as enjoyment, but just because of WWE factor and we had a pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell that sucked, and the whole narrative of them revitalizing it felt worth it. So that's why, if anything, they would get a bye here. But I really view them equally because they were both bloody. Those were mature rivalries, not for kids. You know what I'm saying? And they finally had their blow-offs and done expertly.
You can't go wrong with either one of them. You can't go wrong with either one of them. So there is no complaints on that. But we both went with Drew and Punk for Rivalry of the Year. And Rhea Liv had a good, strong start. We kind of died down by October of it. I was just like, please.
October, I think it was August. Seriously.
Roman Solo, I think, we are still on the road with that. So, not really ending. Trick Ethan, I enjoyed that. It's really made me like Ethan Page a lot. And I didn't really know much about him. I know when we first came to NXT, you were telling me he was on AEW, but didn't have much screen time. So coming to NXT and being put into this position is kind of a big look on him. And he's knocked out the park. Yeah, he's a really good heel and just in whatever capacity. And then, he finishes it off last week with breaking Javon Evans's jaw and, saying he lost his smile. So Ethan Page, don't sleep on him for 2025.
Yeah.
Speaking of don't sleep on, breakout stars of the year. Jada Parker, Joe Hendry, Bronson Reed, Konosuke Takeshita, Julia, Jay White, etc. Other. This is a tough one.
Yeah, it is. It's funny because I originally had Tiffany Stratton in there, and I was like, she's holding Money in the Bank, and I called that last year. So I was like, you can't call that breakout, really. So, man, I think I really wish Bronson Reed didn't get hurt. I would love to see what was happening in wrestling. I mean, obviously we're in tapings right now, but if we were still on track with Bronson, I feel like he'd be making waves, no pun intended. But Julia hasn't done enough for me yet. Joe Hendry whenever he comes to WWE, that Mania pop is gonna be crazy. Like you said, you can hear it. I can picture it already.
He's probably might be at Royal Rumble.
That's a shot. No, that's for sure. That's a good call right there. I don't know if his time is up yet, but
we didn't even have Jordan Grace on here either.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
On anything for the women's or the breakout, but she is a consideration.
Yeah. Everything's on the table. I think it's gotta be Jada. If it's not, I think I'm gonna pick Jada Parker because rivalry with Lola Vice, which is currently ongoing, rivalry with Mi Chen, which kind of cemented her, you know what I'm saying? And then also in between that, she's had a great match with Roxanne. She did have her shot at the NXT women's title. Obviously came up short like everybody did this year, but yeah, I think it's gonna be Jada. It would be Joe Hendry if we had more of him. Obviously this is also our fault because we're not watching TNA, because if we're watching TNA, we would know exactly what he's doing. Yeah. But the most recent thing is that I know he lost versus Nick Nemeth, for the title. And everybody basically kind of had him booked for or fantasy booked to win the TNA title. But he'll be at Mania. I'd honestly probably put money on that. But yeah, it'll be Jada Parker for me.
Yeah, I gotta go with Jada Parker as well. I think your first three people that we here have on this nomination list have very strong contenders for breakout star of the year. But I think some of the things that you've called out is like Joe Hendry. I do think he came on, and a lot of it was the WWE push. So it's unfair for him because he's been doing this for a minute.
Yeah.
It just doesn't need to take WWE to push you into the stratosphere. So that's a little bit more on us, but it's definitely worth calling out. Bronson, again, the tsunamis on Seth, big turning point.
Yeah, for sure.
Big turning point. And everything he's done since then makes me believe that that dude is a world heavyweight champion sooner rather than later.
Hopefully they don't Mark Henry him, because Mark Henry was around forever without a world heavyweight championship.
No, yeah, I definitely do think Bronson Reed can do it. Kesta, that's more so for you. Julia just got here. Jay White kind of just starting, at least, getting that bubbling. Yeah, that steam. Yes. Jada Parker, to your point, has been doing it all year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a year-long thing for Jada Parker. Where she started, basically, again, coming out of development and then, having a faction of two other people with you, and you are the star. You are the attitude. Yeah. You are in these tough, gritty matches with Michin, with Lola Vice. You know what I'm saying? Like, going after championships. She's a star.
Absolutely.
She's a star. And to be able to do that in a year span, where like last year you were just getting on TV for probably like the first time. What a rise in stock. So I think it's good competition, but I think if you just talk about from a year's perspective, I think Jada Parker is the strongest one out here. The other one, again, Jordynne Grace. It'd probably be my runner-up. Royal Rumble debut, Women's Championship, floating back and forth between NXT, TNA, this, that, and the third. So Jordynne Grace is up there, but I think Jada Parker is her 2025 is about to be wild.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, and then finally, match of the year: Cody versus Roman at 40, Ospreay Danielson at Dynasty, Punk Drew Hell in a Cell, Swerve Hangman All Out, Swerve Danielson All In, etc. Other. I'm gonna go first, and I'll be easy. Cody Roman WrestleMania 40. It's not even a question.
Yeah, I'd go. I'd go Will Ospreay Danielson, just because the drama and that was a technician's dream basically, and for what I will agree with, obviously, as a moment, like if we were putting this in the OMG category or just overarching, pick one moment from the wrestling year, it's obviously WrestleMania 40, Cody finishing the story. Like that, like you said, that's not even a question. Duh. Like you pulled out, that was Avengers Endgame. They pulled out all the stops. Like I said, pulled out the spirit of WrestleMania. Yeah. It was the most sports entertainment match of all time. That's what that was. So my thought is best wrestling match of the year is for sure Ospreay Danielson. But you talk about drama buildups, 2 years, soap opera, all that stuff coming to a conclusion, no argument.
Yeah, no argument on the Ospreay Danielson or any of the AEW matches that you have here. They were all great. The CM Punk Drew Hell in a Cell match was great, especially whatever real animosity that they have between each other. Punk picking up the little toolbox and then bopping Drew and legitimately. I remember there was a point in that match they had the little table leg up. And I'm like, yo, my guy. Yeah. He had the sharp point. Punk was about to, I was like, yo, my guy. But no, I think everything you said about WrestleMania 40 is perfection. It's perfection. It's at that point before, you had Rock come out. You had Cena come out. I was just
Yeah,
like, at that point, at that point, I was just like, bring Stone Cold out. But I was just like, bring Stone Cold out, bring Stone Cold. And then the lights go out and the Undertaker comes out. I was like,
yeah.
And I don't even care. Like, if we all knew Cody was gonna win it, but again, it's not how the match ends. It's not who wins the match. It's how the match ends. What is the story to get us to the point to what we got to?
Yep.
It's why we're here. It's why we have a show.
Mm-hmm.
It's sports entertainment at its best was WrestleMania 40. Well, I am, beholden to WrestleMania 17. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I think WrestleMania 40 is as close as you can get to WrestleMania 17, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you had to stack it up, you got to stack up the match or the card of each other, because I would say the only thing that kind of floundered would be Jimmy and Jay. Like, we wanted Jimmy and Jay to be better.
Yeah.
And just like what else was on? What was on WrestleMania 17? Wasn't it Right to Censor versus what was that?
It was APA and Taz.
APA and Taz, yeah. Like, that can go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that,
but the finale of WrestleMania 17 was not better than 40. Yeah. Rock versus Stone Cold at 17. The Stone Cold heel turn was kind of weird. But again, I get it within context because it was the end of an era.
It's a you had to be there. Yeah, it's a you had to be there moment. It's the same reason that like basketball players of each era, talk about this person is the GOAT versus this person is the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Because the game gets better, but it's like you look back and it's like you don't get here without 17. You know what I'm saying? You don't get 40 without everything that comes before it. Obviously, like
but WrestleMania 40, Cody Roman, that is wrestling at its finest. Professional wrestling.
Sports entertainment,
yeah, just
for
amazing.
Sure.
So those are the uppies for 2024. Yep. Good segment. I think we have a really good list of champions of the year here. I mean, I have Drew as my men's superstar. Tony, we both agree, as the women's superstar. I have Dom as worker of the year. You have Ospreay. For your men's, you had Cody. Tag team, we both agreed on Faxium. Faction, we both agreed on Bloodline. Segment, I had R-Truth winning tag team championships at WrestleMania. You had Hangman burning Swerve's house down. OMG moment, I have Swerve and Hangman's unsanctioned cage match. And you had the Death Riders killing Danielson. Heel turn, New Day. Rival of the year, Punk and Drew. Breakout star, Jada Parker. Match of the year, I had Cody and Roman at 40. You had Ospreay Danielson at Dynasty. So
yeah. I had one more category, but it would have been just for me because I was going to say finisher of the year. But I was just like, Samson will know finishers. But then again, it just came to me. I'm like, well, who do we like seeing all the time? Or like, what's the one that got over? And I felt it was pretty easy that it's like, it literally comes down to two, and it's either the tsunami or the triple jump moonsault from Jacob Batu. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's the tsunami. So
I just want to pick the Annihilator.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'll take that. It should have been me.
It should have been me. Yeah. Let's hurry up. And get to the boutique.
Yeah.
And there's not much I took from the boutique here. It was pretty simple for me. Chelsea Green, State of the Union address. Dressed up as Lady Liberty with the presidential podium and the flags. And I have this as mid-rising because, again, I think Chelsea is going to be great as United States champion. We talked about her being Canadian and being the first U.S. Women's Championship holder. She's leaning into that. I think
she brought it up immediately.
I think what hurt this segment, and then Michin coming out, and then coming with the kendo sticks and having that. What hurt this, I think, is the double taping. Yeah, because as they're doing it, there's not much crowd reaction, and I'm like, all right, like. I'm not putting this on Chelsea or Michin. I'm just putting it on the entire crowd that's been sitting there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So, overall, I like where this is heading. I'm glad that Michin has not forgotten. And hey, if Michin is the second all-time U.S. Women's Championship holder, let that be.
Yeah.
But
I'm ready for the division now. I'm ready to see the division because, like, we've always known, like, you can only have like maybe a handful, like 3-4 women in the main event at any point in time that are like floating around each other. But Meanwhile, we got plenty of great talent. So if we can just this goes back to what I was saying before. It's you don't need to have your champions on every single week because they've earned it. They're champions. At least that's what me as a fan, I believe. Because NXT was doing that when you come off of a pay-per-view. I don't need to see you for 2 weeks. I know that you were just in this match. You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be a big deal when you come back. So if that's the case, I'm ready or I would like for you can have the women's mid-card titles and tag team titles effectively be, I don't want to just say the B show, but those are your titles on when you don't have the IC, the men's United States or the World Heavyweight Championships on. You know what I'm saying? So that gives you a framework, I guess, or I see a framework there that you can just build your show around. Because we know SmackDown is going to be the tag team show. So it's all right, let's build these up and let's actually have these tag team storylines, not just matches, because we know the matches are great, but the storylines to actually keep us invested. And if we're not
these things could be, main events for those shows. We've seen plenty of times a men's Intercontinental match be a main event of Raw. We've seen a United States Championship match be a main event of SmackDown. And it's the same thing. It's going to be a first time when we have a women's Intercontinental or U.S. Champions match as a main event of either Raw and SmackDown. And so that adds more credibility to it. And again, to have storylines that are not just, we don't like this group because of the other group, or, having to tie to the tag team championships, or having to tie to the women's, heavyweight championship, or the whatever the other championship's called. But again, you're just giving people more time, especially people that are been really good workers and really good talkers. Hey, there's something to strive for here. So, I'm excited for that. My other mid from the show is Sammy by DQ beating Mello, and obviously the match is going to be good because they're both really talented wrestlers. I like the ending, and it could have been a more typical ending. Because Carmelo is basically I'm done. I'm walking out. Y'all can have this. He's willing to take the DQ. He's willing to take the DQ. And then all of a sudden, Braun Strowman's music hits. And then he's about to take him back to the ring. But then Melo slips out. And then at first thought, I was like, was that a botch?
Yeah.
I thought he legitimately just slipped out of Braun Strowman's hands. And then I thought once he got to the back, I thought he was just going to bring him back out. And so to have Sammy just standing there and then all of a sudden the bloodline come in and jump him, I'm like, that is one of the few times you actually played that out properly.
Yeah.
Because that actually makes sense in a sense. So once once the bloodline came in, I was like, oh, okay, he was supposed to slip out of Braun Strowman's hands like that. I thought that was a botch. And then he was like, oh, fuck, let me continue this story. Let me at least just run around the corner and then he'll just bring me back out. And when that didn't happen and the bloodline came in and started jumping them, and then Braun Strowman comes back out, and then he ends up getting double Simone spiked and all that. I was like, hey, that actually makes sense. So props to that. Those are my only two things from SmackDown this week.
Yeah. I mean, those are the two things that are worth mentioning. And just like I brought up earlier, is that Sammy's having a tough time with some of these double tapings, getting his tail beat on Raw and on SmackDown. It's dang,
four times. You guys asked what 4 times.
Basically, dang, dog. But yeah, he's having a tough time. But yeah, I don't got nothing much else to say. The Chelsea look great, but I mean, they always do. All the women always look great. So.
Anything else you want to speak out on SmackDown?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, let's get into the final pop-up of the year, AEW's World's End. I am 1-8-3 on the year, and Moody is the exact opposite. He's 8-1-3.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a card of 10 matches here, or close to it. Let's start off. We got C2 semis. Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher.
Will Ospreay.
I will go Will Ospreay as well, because as I think when we get to the next match on the semis, I think we're leading up to Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. So I'm going Ricochet versus over Okada. Because there's just been a couple of. I know Okada is the defending C2 champion, but again, if you're going with heel, he'll probably find something. If you're going heel Ricochet, you probably will find a heel way to get the win.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, in past couple weeks, Ospreay and Ricochet, who have a close relationship to whatever degree, Ospreay is like, "Yo, why are you cheating? Why are you doing this? Like, blah blah blah." He's kind of saying like, "Yo, this is not you." And then so it just seems like, in my opinion, that we're leading up to a C2 final of Ricochet versus Ospreay. So I got Ricochet. Who you got? You got Okada or Ricochet?
Well, yeah, the easy answer is definitely Okada, where it's like, I mean, he is the reigning champion, but as you put it like that, I'm like, all right, so what am I going to get from the final, right? So that'll be Ospreay Okada. What am I doing here? Obviously, that's a great match, but I'm like, am I turning? Because like I did just mention, Okada could probably turn face. So it's like, are you going to drop the title, turn face? Give Will Ospreay a handshake on the way out? But I'm like, I don't know. I'll just go with the easy Okada. Okada over Ricochet. That'd be super impressive for him to take out the champion. And then I guess in the final, do I have Will winning?
You have Okada. You have Okada versus Ospreay. I have Ricochet versus Ospreay.
Mm.
I'm gonna go Ricochet.
Yeah. Okay. That's a splash.
This is all
because that's a splash.
Doesn't Ospreay have a title?
No.
He's not holding the title right now, like an international championship, or did he lose?
No, he dropped that to Konosuke Takeshita when I called it in a triple threat a while ago.
Yeah, you're right. I think Ricochet. This will be his look. It gives him credibility. I think it's gonna add to his heel.
The Hurt Syndicate will call him immediately. They'll call him back immediately if he's Continental Champion, I'd imagine.
And how will that play out? So that's where I think there's more intrigue and building of the Ricochet character, and then it just lets him be a little bit even more cockier.
Yeah.
So I'm going Ricochet. And to beat Okada and Will Ospreay the same night.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's Jericho beating Austin and Stone Cold.
Yeah, that's Austin Jericho and The Rock level. Yeah, that's like if they were actually established as those two. But yeah, like skill level in the ring, you're like, dog. I don't know if Will could be Continental Champion right now. He could be. I guess. Yeah, I'll have Will over Okada, I guess. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
No. I gotta have Okada retaining. Because if Kyle Fletcher loses to Will Ospreay, there's no way Kyle Fletcher is gonna let him win the championship. I can't see that. So I got, Okada. I'll go Okada.
Okay.
So he will actually do the impressive thing of actually retaining his title through the tournament, which is amazing. But anyway.
Okay. That's going to be interesting to watch. Is that tonight? That's tonight, right?
Yeah, tonight. Yep.
AEW Championship. Jon Moxley in a fatal 4-way versus Orange Cassidy, Hangman Page, Jay White. I want to lean Jay White.
That's why I want to say Jay White so bad.
What do you do with a faction like the Death Riders that probably acts like the Judgment Day or the Bloodline?
Mm-hmm. I mean, they haven't interfered so pay-per-view. I don't know.
None of them are busy on other matches tonight.
I gotta go Mox. I gotta go Moxley just because I feel like, I mean, I see this as a classic WWE 4-way where it's like, you have all of these great contenders, but like, there's got to be one that stands out above them all. Right now, it is Jay White between the three of them, but I don't know how that works. Either way, the match will be great, but that's
I'm gonna go Moxley. I think this requires, especially with, seeing what happened on Rampage for Collision, where, we talked about it. They go into the studio truck and shut everything down. This feels like WCW versus NWO, though right now AEW doesn't have any unity to it as far as like storyline,
Yeah.
and the Death Riders do. And that's where I lean to. I think when you got a squad like that to help you protect you, it's kind of hard to kind of go at it alone.
Hmm.
You can't have temporary relationships. You need to be united as a faction. So this is where I just lean towards Moxley and the Death Riders.
Yeah.
MJF's Dynamite Diamond Ring. MJF versus Adam Cole. Now, can you explain to me a little bit the MJF's Dynamite Diamond Ring, and what is it exactly?
That was part of the. It used to be the Dynamite Battle Royal. It was like the Dynamite 25-man Battle Royal where whoever won would win the Dynamite Diamond Ring. And MJF won that like 3 years in a row, 3 years or 4 years in a row. And then it got stolen, and then it's his brass knuckles at this point. It's just his signature weapon.
Okay.
I'll have Adam Cole win this. I just hope that they're done with this at this point. So, because it's beyond overcooked. It's unfortunate that Adam Cole got hurt, but like, yeah, let's just be done with this. And I don't think MJF loses anything from losing to Adam Cole, and Adam Cole needs it really bad, seeing as how he just came back because he was out with that ankle injury like for like all of this year mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, MJF doesn't lose anything. That's the math I do on. He doesn't lose
What was the
anything.
interaction that Adam Cole had with what was it, Roderick Strong a couple weeks ago? Or like, didn't they have like a match?
Kyle O'Reilly.
They had a match together, and then like Adam Cole tried to ask for a handshake, and then Kyle O'Reilly just kind of like rolled out the ring. And so
yeah,
I don't know. I don't see MJF. I don't see Kyle O'Reilly helping MJF, but
maybe
I don't like it wouldn't necessarily be helping MJF. Is more so just like fuck you, Adam Cole. But are they at that level? I'm not sure. That's my ignorance on the storyline more than me trying to like predict something. So I kind of want to leave MJF just because I'm like, it's MJF's Dynamite Diamond Ring. But if it's MJF's Dynamite Diamond Ring, wouldn't it be more purposeful to have it to Adam Cole?
Yeah.
I'm going to go MJF.
I guess, yeah. Because I don't know how, like, if it's for the ring, you're right when you point that out. If it's for the ring, you're like, okay, what is he going to do with it? You know what I mean? That's the very next question, and I don't know. But it's like,
I'm gonna go MJF. I'm not confident in it. I'm gonna go MJF. So.
He would definitely be the betting odds favorite. I mean, we know MJF versus like Adam Cole. I mean, we know him from NXT, but like somebody watching AEW, like somebody who's not a wrestling fan, would be like, okay, yeah, MJF is clearly this guy who's gonna win.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you make a good point. Adam Cole does need the win.
He needs it. Yeah, that's the only reason I have him, because if not, like, even though like the story doesn't even make sense at this point. You have to remember stuff from a year and a half ago to remember why they're, even beefing, which is really, since he came back, Adam Cole turning on MJF and being like, I turned on you before you could turn on me. That's what started all of this. And you're like, bruh, are we serious? That's what we're doing? It's just unfortunate he got injured, because it would have been great. Like, the whole best friends arc for that 6 to 8 months they were doing it was actually fire.
All right. 3 more matches. Tijuana Street Fight for the AEW Women's World Championship. Mariah May versus Thunder Rosa. This one's a tough one.
This is a tough one because I don't have a title change yet. So this is where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I kind of want to pick Thunder Rosa, because not to say that Mariah May has not been a good champion, but or even say that it's I don't know if it's become staler, and I don't really know. Is it too early for her to drop the title? Because she only won it a few months ago. So it's not like she's had this long reign of a championship. Do you want to take it off of her, or do you want to continue to prop her up as like, hey, I am the champion of this division?
Yeah.
Thunder Rosa has been around. She's been in the the stands, the fans area, holding up signs and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I feel like she had a match this week, didn't she? I'm blanking on it. I feel like she had a match this week. I'm gonna go Mariah May. I think we can build this up a little bit more that maybe on the next bat that Thunder Rosa might get the title.
Yeah, I don't have like I'm not beholden to the idea that Tony must beat Mariah and take it off of her, but I think that I'm trying to wrap my mind around somebody else beating her right now just because she made Mariah. So, and I agree that also up to this point, like the major title defenses that she's had has more so been like kind of the classic flavor of the month kind of build. Like, and then you have like the breakup with her and her friend Emi Shirakawa. That is the last time that I felt like a real threat to her. Thunder Rosa is another real one. I don't know what she does without the title though. So I guess for that case, yeah, I'm gonna stick with Mariah. I'm booking a boring show. I be booking boring shows, dog.
Hey, the boring shows been giving you a winning record though.
Yeah.
My surprise over there is Charlotte debuts and is all elite.
Oh, Charlotte! Oh, that'll be wild.
No, that's not happening.
No, that'd be so fire if Charlotte debuts and like beats Mercedes for the TBS title in the New Japan. Oh yeah, that'd be nuts.
Next match on the list: AEW International Championship, Takeshita versus Powerhouse Hobbs.
Maybe this.
Has Powerhouse Hobbs won an AEW title?
He has not. He might have been He might have been TNT champion. He might have been TNT champion at a point, like early days of TNT championship. I feel like. I remember Wardlow had it for a bit. Like Wardlow, he's like a 3-time TNT champion because they were playing hot potato for a while. So I think he might have been in there and got like the TNT belt once, but not international.
Is he technically a Ring of Honor guy, or is he?
No, he's an AEW guy. He was part of the Don Callis family, which is why we're having now.
There's no hierarchy thing here. It's not like he's making a jump to the big boys league. That's where I'm just checking.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Powerhouse Hobbs. I'm gonna go Powerhouse Hobbs.
I know I am too.
Takeshita just got the title recently, but this seems like a title that it's like, hey, maybe we can, you get caught on a good day, you get caught.
Yeah, and that's basically, that's how I feel about it too. I'm gonna go Powerhouse as well because I'm like, this is the one that I feel like would or is the most frequently changing of hands. Like, the Continental is the most prestigious out of the mid cards, and then it goes international and then TNT below that, I would say. But yeah, Powerhouse Hobbs, that would do something for him, and like for him to be on a singles run with that title, that'd be sick, like for sure. And deal with blows to the Don Callis. Yeah, I agree with you. Powerhouse Hobbs.
And I was just looking at his championship reigns. He's held the AEW TNT championship one time.
Yep, there you go. I thought so.
And then the final match that we have on this card, AEW TBS champion Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander. Does what's her face come back and screw Mercedes? Camille. If there was any time to end her reign at a place called Worlds End.
Worlds End, yeah.
I'm going to go Chris Statlander.
Yeah, I know. I picked Chris Statlander last time, and obviously she lost. She keeps chopping at this tree, and she hasn't lost anything with the crowd. Like, I feel like she kind of took the place. Because Willow and Mercedes should be a match. That should be a big match. You know what I'm saying? Chris Statlander is the next person, like, who I see.
So Willow and who?
Mercedes.
Okay.
That's because they already had one. But I'm like, I don't know. Willow's part of the conglomeration. She's kind of busy right now. She ain't really busy. They're just not using her for whatever reason. Mercedes.
I feel like you going Mercedes?
Oh, all retentions? Am I going all retentions? I went except for Powerhouse Hobbs.
Hey, you got your one switch in.
No, Chris can chop this tree down. She's bigger than her. I'll go Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris Statlander. That's it. That's all the predictions.
Yeah, we got some differentiating opinions though. I mean, I have Ricochet, you have Okada on both the semis and the finals. I have MJF, you have Adam Cole. And yeah, that's pretty much the difference in opinions that we have here. So that's the last PL pop-up of the year. Let's see if I can get 2 wins.
Yep.
Instead of only just going into one. But
it's funny when you put it like that. It's like you got 1 year this calendar year, 1 win.
One win in 6 months. One win in 6 months means that hey, I'm due for a win.
That's true. You are due.
Let's get into our champions of the week. And like I said, I want to end the show with my champion. So you got doubles. Sure. I'm gonna let you start.
Remind me, just because I don't got my laptop, but go ahead and read those. I remember one of them.
They got Soul.
Oh yeah. I got Soul, and I'm super bad. James Brown. That goes to the Hardy Boys. Did you see this clip on Instagram?
I saw the clip that when you posted it in the the what you call it.
Yeah. Well, you already saw it, but them at an indie show singing "Shy," like. And if I ever fall in love, like Jeff Hardy can. I'm not gonna say he can sing. He can carry a tune.
He did. So I was surprised. Yeah,
I was surprised. I was like, "Yeah, go off, Jeff." I was like, "Go off." Singing that Black Negro spiritual. Come on,
like
now.
how many black girls do you think they've been with? Because people be like, like Jeff. People have adopted Jeff into the black community.
Justin,
like,
Justin
I don't
more
know
than
black people. They're like people be like, I don't know any black person that don't fuck with Jeff Hardy.
Yeah,
like
true.
Every black person loves Jeff Hardy, but like, it was impressive. I was like, that can't be them. They've got to be like singing on track, like they're playing the real song, and then like they're kind of when you got headphones, when you got headphones in and you're singing and you sound like, oh man, I'm hitting them goddamn notes. I'm hitting them notes, and then you pop up an earbud and you be like, oh, I'm off key like a motherfucker.
Right? Yeah.
It was fun. I did not, and that's recent too, right? Yeah, in 2020. Well, this person saw it in 2024.
Yeah,
it seemed recent.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen it before, so you're getting champion of the week. Time jump news, then add that to the category.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. That was surprising as hell. Your second title that you have on here is Story. You got a friend in me title to Gunther.
Yeah. This goes to we didn't bring it up during Raw, but this is like the post Raw segment that Kaiser and Gunther had when Kaiser he comes into the locker room and he's like, I'm sorry I didn't bring back the Intercontinental Championship, basically being down on himself and everything. And then Gunther, being the ring general that he is, like, you would think that he's gonna like backhand him like they would have done to Vinci. Clearly, they would have done that to Vinci, but I guess since this is actually his boy, he's like, stop the crying. You do this, every year you come here with excuses. He's like, you pick yourself up and you bring me that IC title. And it's just like very encouraging speech from your boy that is clearly a heel, but you're like, man, everybody needs a friend like Gunther, like for real. Like, that was my thought. I was like, everybody needs a friend like Gunther. That's like,
his brother-in-law.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Gunther is married to Ludwig's sister.
Ludwig's sister? Oh, okay. Yeah. That's cool. I didn't know that. But yeah, clearly it makes sense. Their chemistry is there. But I'm like, man, you're a good friend, Gunther. Yeah. So that goes to him. Those are my champions.
My champion of the week, and I think this is a fitting way to end 2024. We started this way back. I forget when exactly, but we've been putting stuff out in the air, in the ether. We've been spreading our juju. Mm-hmm. We got Tiffany earlier this year.
Yeah, we did get Tiffany.
And we called it. We said one day, Mr. Homelander himself will get caught too.
This is presidential if this is the case. If this really happened, this is a presidential thing on this pod.
So my final champion of the week of 2024 is the Kermit the Frog Sips Tea title to Cody Rhodes. Because I opened up Twitter a couple of days ago and I saw this picture. Cody Rhodes, posted by a salon. This is from the actual picture. I think it's from like 2018.
Okay.
But, you know, somebody was like, is that Cody? And I'm like, yeah, that's definitely Cody. And I'm just going to sip my tea here. I'm just going to sip my tea as our final act of 2020 and 2024 on the Wrestling Re-Up. If you are familiar with this bit and what we've been pushing and trying to do, I said, I'm just going to sip my tea and you know exactly what I'm doing here because we know what Cody is eventually going to do when he turns heel. He's going to be like Randy from South Park when he goes onto Wheel of Fortune.
There you go.
And he's going to be asked things that bother you or people that bother you. And he's going to be brought up with 6 letters.
Yep.
Or 7? 6 or 7. I didn't do the math on it. But you've seen the skit. You've seen the bit. You know exactly what Cody's about to do. Because we said it. It ain't going to be easy.
No,
you gotta keep pushing the ether. You gotta keep putting it in the atmosphere. It's coming for you, Cody. It's coming. We got all day. We got all the time in the year, man. I'm telling you, it wasn't gonna be easy, but when it finally happens, I'm telling you, them HBCU bands are gonna be so disappointed. Everybody that was giving Cody cookout invitations, they gonna have to say, sorry, bro, the date of the cookout changed.
Yeah, right. They'll be him and just Trick. Him and Trick by themselves at the cookout. Eating glizzies together.
So that is my champion of the week and the final champion of the 2024 Wrestling Re-Up. Moody, we finally did it. We're done. It is another one of our long episodes, but it was a fun episode. You know, the wrestling didn't give us much this week, so we had to make a lot of it, and we spent a good amount of time on the Uppies.
And the network connection issues, stretched out some time for us too.
Is that what?
The network connection issue stretched it out for us a little bit too.
Yeah, as well.
Probably
but
another 5 minutes.
That's what happens when you're on the holidays and you're traveling. But we make do. But episode 25 in the books, and then next week will be our 6-month anniversary. Episode 26, and the final episode of Raw on USA for the foreseeable future. And then we'll be back onto live television, hopefully very soon rather than later. So anything else you want to leave us off with, Moody, before we head out?
Have a good New Year. I would say happy holidays, but most of them passed. So New Year's coming up, and be safe.
Yeah, for sure. And happy New Year's to you and everyone that's listening. And we'll catch y'all next week on the Wrestling Re-Up podcast. Deuces, y'all.
Peace.